Physician Barry Honig is suing his ex-girlfriend, medical receptionist Lynn Fendley, for disposing of his personal belongings. Lynn says Barry stood her up on Valentine's Day.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 581 on the calendar in the matter of Honig versus Fendley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Honig, Miss Fendley is your former girlfriend. You spent some time at her home. You moved some of your stuff into her home. On Valentine's Day of this year, you really made her mad. It is your claim that she took all your stuff, she threw it out on the street, and destroyed a lot of it.
Yes.
Miss Fendley says she was pretty angry on Valentine's Day, and she placed your stuff outside. And you probably took it away, right?
Yes, I did. I just placed it out there.
How long, Miss Fendley, had Mr. Honig been living at your house?
For approximately about a year.
And what stuff did he have in your house?
Oh, clothes, he's a guitar player in a band. He had some equipment, just little knickknacks, a small little dresser, just odds and ends. He'd been slowly but surely moving stuff in.
Okay. Now, on Valentine's Day of this year, what happened that precipitated your moving his stuff out?
He never came home on Valentine's Day.
Shh. Shh.
All day, all night.
Where were you?
I was working, Your Honor.
What kind of work do you do?
I am a professional musician. I also have a day job that work for a real estate broker. On that day, Valentine's Day, she was still sleeping when I woke up. I went to my day job, and I had a gig, a performance that evening. I was expecting, to get home around, 2 or 3 in the morning, but...
Try looking at me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're up to 2, 3 in the morning.
Yes. Anyway, by the time I got to the drummer's house to unload the equipment, it was about 3. I was extremely exhausted and decided to sleep on the couch.
Okay. And your drummer's friend's name, is that Bobby?
That's Bob, yes.
Bob, because I saw that in your papers.
Yes.
And you called him at Bob's.
The next day, when I was really upset, I called around at his friends, and I finally found him at one of his friends, and I wanted to talk to him, and he wouldn't come to the phone. And that's when I said I was going to put his stuff out, but I allowed...
Your Honor...
Shh, just a second.
Yes.
So he wouldn't come to the phone, so what did you do with his things?
After I gave it a while, I said he needed to come home, or I was going to put his stuff out on the driveway by the street, and he never came. So I just packed it all up, and I stuck it out there. But I allowed it...
What time?
Okay, I found him in the morning, around afternoon, early afternoon.
Say 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
Around, approximately.
And what time did you get home, Mr. Honig?
About 3 in the afternoon.
And what did you find when you got there?
I found all my clothes, well, what was left of them, my possessions, stuff like my toothbrush, my hairbrush, bathroom items, just strewn all across.
Shh. I want to know what happened to your guitar, to your equipment. You have a computer that you talked about.
Computer, that's the things that I care about.
Just a second. Did you find the computer?
No, I didn't find the computer. I found pieces of software, pieces of CD-ROMs.
That's not true. I put it all out. I put it all out there in one piece.
Miss Fendley, listen to me very carefully, madam. I have no doubt that most of the stuff you put out there, and you put it out in one piece. And then what did you do?
Then I went back in the house. I just left it there.
Then you went back into the house. What did you do when you went back into the house?
Waited. We just waited for him to come home, but he never did. I mean,
Did you ever see him come home?
No.
Did you fall asleep?
I just wasn't... Yes, I just went in my room, and I was just watching TV, thinking that he would come in and talk to me. But he just took his stuff and he left.
What kind of work do you do?
I work at a doctor's office.
What kind of work do you do at the doctor's office?
Just receptionist.
What kind of doctor?
Just a general practitioner.
How long have you worked for this doctor?
A couple years.
What are your work hours?
From 9 to 4.
Valentine's Day last year. What day of the week was it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, what were you doing home at 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
What was I doing home when? On Valentine's Day? I'd taken it off because I had to go to the dentist earlier that day.
You remember that?
Yes, I remember that, but I don't remember.
Shh. What's the name of the dentist you went to? Give me the dentist's
Dr.
name.
Old.
If I call Dr. Old, would Dr. Old say that you were at his office on Friday, Valentine's Day, February 14th of this year? Just answer my question.
No.
Want to get it together and give me the answer?
He made me mad, and I was home, but I didn't break his stuff.
That's
second.
a lie.
I did
Your
not.
Honor.
I
Just a
didn't
second.
break his stuff, Your Honor.
Miss Finley, why would you lie to me?
He's lying.
No, why would you lie to me? I don't care about him. Why would you lie to me? Now, let's start again. Who do you work for?
I work for a doctor. I work for a doctor.
Name.
Dr. Old. That's who I work for.
What kind of a doctor is Dr. Old?
General practitioner.
And Valentine's Day this past year was on a Friday.
Yes, ma'am.
Why weren't you at work?
So I called in
Why?
because I was mad at him.
So you called in sick on Valentine's
Yes.
Day.
I didn't destroy any of his property.
Yes, you did, madam. Yes, you did.
It wasn't there when I got there.
Mr. Honig,
Okay. All right. Sorry, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'm sorry.
you destroyed his property, madam. If he had been living with you for a year, you have an obligation. And you have an obligation, and that is to safeguard his property. If you decide to put him out, if you decide that you no longer want to live with him, you have to give him an opportunity to remove his things. You can't have a hissy fit and throw his things out and expect there to be no repercussions. There are repercussions to that. You have a legal obligation not to take his things and throw them out, put them out, place them on a street curb. And you have a double obligation that when you come into court, if a judge asks you a question, you don't lie.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't have any big stuff of his. I don't want anything of his.
Yeah, I bet you want that computer.
Listen to me very carefully. You've already lied to me once. It's not going to happen again. Do you understand?
Yes.
And later today,
She asked me if I could loan her some money.
Brenda took the money out of her account and deposited it into my daughter's account.
I didn't borrow the money.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Barry Honig says ex-girlfriend Lynn Fendley owes for trashing his belongings. Lynn says Barry stayed out all night on Valentine's Day.
Now, I want to ask you this question, sir. I should be very careful, Mr. Honig. I want you to tell me all the things that were at home that you claim were either taken or destroyed or stolen from the street curb after she put it out.
Okay. A guitar,
And how much was the guitar, sir?
roughly $1,500, a little more, $1,550.
You have the receipt for that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, the guitar. Which
That's
you
the
did put
guitar.
outside, is that right, Miss Findley?
Yes, I did put his guitar out.
What else?
Okay, an amplifier. I have the receipt for that,
How much was the amplifier?
$950.
Did you put out the amplifier, Miss Findley?
Yes, I did.
What else?
My laptop and the stuff that went along with it, the software, the adapters,
Did you
that
put
sort
that
of
out,
stuff.
Miss Findley?
Yes, I did.
Really? Do you have a computer yourself?
No.
Do you use a computer? Do you use a computer?
No, I don't. Not.
I don't believe you, and I don't
play
believe you
around
put it out.
on a computer, but I'm not computer literate.
No, the guitar and the amplifier, I believe. I'm not so sure I believe she put out your laptop. What else?
Tools, clothing, CDs, socks, more,
All right, Miss
more
Findlay.
CDs.
All right,
That's
Miss-
what I have here.
All right, Miss Findley, I believe that you have some of his property still in your house, and I want you to listen to me very carefully. You've already lied to me once. It's not going to happen again. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want you to tell me what of his property you still have in your house.
I really don't have it. Just like CD. Just I have a few CDs
Come
and
on,
stuff.
let's go. Okay, now we have a few CDs.
That's all I have. I don't have any big stuff of his. I don't want anything of his.
Yeah, I bet you want that computer.
Miss Findley, I believe that you are lying to me when you say that you do not have his computer or all of his CDs. I believe that you disposed of the things that you have absolutely no use for. That is his guitar, which he probably likes, his amplifier, which you have no use for, and his clothes, which merely make a statement. I believe that you have his computer and his CDs in your home. Do you understand what I just said?
Yes, I do, but
do
I
you
don't-
understand what I just said? I believe that you have it at home. And I'm going to tell you that you are going to pack up that stuff and you're going to make sure that he gets it. 5 days from today, I will give you an order that says you may go to her home in the company of a police officer, and she is to have that stuff boxed up. $2,500 is what I find that these two items, the guitar and the amplifier, are worth, which I do believe she disposed of by throwing them outside, along with your clothes. Probably worth another $500. The other thing she has in the house, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000 for these two items and your clothes. The other items are to be packed up and returned to him in 5 days. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Lynn is an obvious liar.
I don't have his stuff, so how can they get his stuff if I don't have it?
I don't think that she threw the computer out. I think the judge is right on that. She probably still has it.
I stuck it outside, and what happened to it after that, I'm not sure.
I guess justice is served, but we'll see if I ever get my computer back.
Network administrator Gary Wagner is suing his stepdaughter's ex-boyfriend, 18-year-old Frank Farrell, for a loan and a bill for pornographic websites.
Come to order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Yeah, this is case number 338 on the calendar in the matter of Wagner versus Farrell. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Wagner, the defendant is the former boyfriend of your stepdaughter. I assume that this is your stepdaughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? You claim a loan to him, and then you claim that he and your stepdaughter moved into an apartment together. The phone was installed in your name, and it is your claim that Mr. Farrell made a lot of calls on that phone to porn sites, running up a bill of almost $1,000. You want him to pay for that.
Yes, ma'am.
I might have been just as happy that he wasn't my stepdaughter's boyfriend, but... Go ahead, Mr. Wagner. First loan. Your stepdaughter and her boyfriend were on their way to a family wedding. They called you, they said the car broke down. Go.
Okay, they broke down in Florida. They called and asked for some money, and so I wired them the money, and they then picked up the money and came back. I have a receipt for the hotel and also from Western Union.
What makes you think you're going to get that back?
Just because I'm helping him understand that, you know, half of it will be CJ's responsibility as well.
I don't hear anything about a loan, sir. Who called you?
Carolyn did.
Car broke down, we need some money. So you sent her money.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of an arrangement did you have with him to pay you back?
I told my wife, and she had told Carolyn and Frank that upon their return back, that they would pay us back.
That's a lot of baloney. She called you. You said you spoke to her.
Yes,
Never
ma'am.
spoke to him. You feel all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then stand up straight. That's not a loan, Mr. Wagner. It's
Okay.
not a loan. What's next? They moved in together?
They moved in together, and because she had just had a baby, wanted to put a phone in. No, ma'am. It was another guy's baby, but he had stated that he would willing to take care of her and the baby.
He was. What kind of work do you do?
I was employed at the Waffle House.
At a Waffle House?
Yes, ma'am.
What are you doing now?
I'm currently not employed. I'm going back to school to get my diploma.
You have any physical problems, Mr. Farrell?
No, ma'am.
You ever been in any programs?
No, ma'am.
You have a drug problem?
No, ma'am.
So you thought, Mr. Wagner, that he was going to support your stepdaughter working in a Waffle House. You seem like an intelligent man, Mr. Wagner.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you honestly believe that this young man in his job from a Waffle House was going to be able to support anybody but himself?
Well, was hoping, yes.
Hope springs eternal, Mr. Wagner.
Okay.
So you put a phone in the house.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened?
I told Carolyn and Frank that it was to be no long distance, no call waiting, none of that. Around the beginning of September, Carolyn called upset because they had $1,000 long distance phone calls on the phone, and I called up the phone company, and they said that Frank Farrell had set up long distance with Sprint, and...
Did you do that, Mr. Farrell?
No, Your Honor.
You didn't set up a long distance with Sprint? Let me see the long distance numbers, sir. I can figure that out very, very quickly. Mr. Farrell, I'm going to give you one final opportunity. Did you set up a long distance number with anyone?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Where are the numbers that were called?
They're listed, I believe, on the second page where it shows where they were made international calls.
International calls? To where?
To someplace in the islands for adult entertainment.
Cook Island? You know where that is, sir?
No, Your Honor.
This is over a 2-day period, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
August 29th and August 30th. Who was there on August 29th in your house?
Frank Farrell.
Who else?
And me.
Who else? Come on.
Brian and Josh and Michael.
Yeah, somebody else was there, right?
Yes,
who were
ma'am.
Brian and who were Josh?
His brother and a friend.
Who else was there on the 29th and the 30th?
I think my sister.
How old is your sister?
She just turned 16.
What am I supposed to do with this, sir? How do I know it was him?
Well, the bill is in his name.
So let him pay it. What are you bothering me for? They'll come after him. Frank Farrell.
Well, because they put it to the phone bill that is in my name that I'm having to pay.
Why? If this Sprint bill is in his name, what does it have to do with you?
Because it was attached to my phone.
Well, tell him to get it off.
I tried, and they said that they won't do it because they already paid the bill.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You going to school?
No, ma'am.
You working?
No, ma'am.
What are you doing?
Staying at home.
Staying home at age 18 and doing nothing is not an option. Get a job.
And later today,
How much are all of the taxes on the property?
$2,730.44.
Well, he paid $2,306.
I know nothing about that.
Well, we got to start talking to each other.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gary Wagner is suing his stepdaughter's ex-boyfriend, 18-year-old Frank Farrell, for a loan and a bill for pornographic websites.
Let me explain something to you, sir. There is no way that you can establish that he was the one who made these phone calls. There were other people in the house. Her sister, his brother's friend, and God knows who else. All I know is this. This bill is in Frank Farrell's name. You never opened an account with Sprint. I don't care what Sprint tells you. It seems illogical to me that you would buy the fact that we're going to go after you because you have the phone. This bill is in his name, so you better get it off my phone bill. Go after him. He works in a Waffle House. Find him. She living home now?
Yes, ma'am.
With the baby?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How old are you?
18.
And how old's your baby?
6 months.
You going to school? Step up. You going to school?
No, ma'am.
You working?
No, ma'am.
What are you doing?
Staying at home.
Who else stays at home?
My mom.
Why don't you make arrangements with your mom to get a job in the evening when your baby goes to sleep? What's wrong with that?
I'm trying.
That's trying. You don't have to try. You can bag groceries in a supermarket. You can work in a fast food store. You can do whatever you like if you're not skilled. If you choose to have a skill, then what you do is you beg your mother to babysit a couple of nights a week so that you can go back to school and develop a skill so that you don't have to bag groceries for the rest of your life. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
But staying home at age 18 and doing nothing is not an option. Bye, Mr. Wagner, and good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We got the phone bill from the phone company and told Frank that he needed to pay his bill, and he's saying that he's not going to.
He's right, I'm not going to pay him because there's no reason why I should have to.
Get more trust with people before you start assuming responsibilities for them.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cleary versus Gray. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Sandy Cleary and her son, 5-year-old Nicholas, are suing their neighbor, accounts receivable clerk Cynthia Gray. Sandy claims Cynthia's dog bit Nicholas in the face.
Miss Cleary, this is your little boy?
Yes.
What's your name?
Nicholas?
Nicholas, why don't you come up here? You're going to sit right up here next to me.
Okay, hold on. There you go.
Nicholas, how old are you?
5.
You know who I am?
It's Judy.
Right. Do you ever watch me on television? You know what it is to be in court? Is this court where you are now? Okay. You know you have to tell the truth when you're in court, right? Okay, Nicholas, you just sit there. I'll be back to you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The fence doesn't work too well. The gate doesn't work too well. Where are you?
It happened so quickly.
So where was he when it happened?
The gate had opened. He went inside.
And you weren't close enough, Miss Cleary.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sandy Cleary says neighbor Cynthia Gray's dog bit her 5-year-old son Nicholas in the face.
Show me where you were bitten, Nicholas.
On my nose.
On your nose? Looks okay to me. Is it all better now? It's all better? Good. Miss Cleary, you and the defendant are neighbors, and according to your complaint, one of her dogs bit your son.
Correct.
You want her to pay you $5,000 for whatever. Pain, suffering, a whole bunch of other things. How far away do you live from Mrs. Gray?
We have an apartment complex that we live in, and there's a home dividing Cindy's home to our apartment complex.
She lives in a private house.
Correct.
With a yard.
Correct.
With a fenced yard.
Yes.
How high is the fence?
It's probably about Nicholas's height, maybe a little bit taller.
And what kind of dogs does she have?
She has a medium-sized dog, mixed breed, and a little Chihuahua-sized dog.
Okay, and her dogs are behind the fence.
Correct.
Always behind the fence, unless she's walking them.
Well, not so correct on that one. Sometimes the dogs are free to either get out with the children also in the neighborhood to go in.
No, the children don't go in, I assume, unless their parents are with them.
Well, Cindy has also a young son, and my children, as well as other neighborhood children, have been able to go into the backyard to see if he's there to play.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Versus the front door, actually.
No, but you wouldn't allow your 5-year-old to go there.
No.
Of course not. So, on what date was Nicholas bitten?
September 10th.
And where were you?
I was in the front yard of our apartment complex.
And who was with Nicholas?
His little friend, Lily.
How old is Lily?
She's the same age.
So you have 2 5-year-olds. And you were watching them?
Yes.
Well, tell me what happened.
Well, what happened was Nicholas and Lily both had asked if they could go see Nina and Riley.
Nina and Riley are the 2 dogs?
The 2 dogs, correct.
Yes.
And I said that would be okay, but it didn't look as if anybody was home and to please not go into the fence, as children always do. And he said okay, and the last I knew, he went to go and see the dogs, and then he started screaming.
Just a minute. When he and Lily, also age 5, went over to the defendant's home, could you see your son?
No, Your Honor, I could not.
Why not?
Because, I mean, it's very close quarters. Her driveway goes back a little further than where ours does.
Yes.
It happened very quickly. My older son had also gone over there with them.
Where's your older son?
He's not here today. He didn't see what happened as well.
Then I don't need him here. So what you're saying is your son went into her yard.
Yes. The gate has never been a real well-shutting gate.
That's not the issue, whether it's shut well or not. Ms. Cleary, you are the parent.
Correct.
You have a responsibility. You have a 5-year-old child. Your 5-year-old child should not be out of your sight when playing out in the street. And if your 5-year-old child comes to you and says, I want to go and play with the 2 dogs, and you believe, as you said, that the defendant is not home or that nobody is home, you get off your duff and you get up and you say, you want to go and see the dogs, I will go with you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Madam, this is your fault. This is not the defendant's fault. She has 2 dogs. Her dogs are behind a fence, well protected. If your son hadn't gone into the yard, your son would not have gotten bitten. And you just told me that the fence doesn't work too well, the gate doesn't work too well. Where are you? I mean, you're out talking to a friend? It's your job to watch him. And if you were negligent in taking care of your own son, don't blame anybody else.
Your Honor, I am not blaming anybody else. It happened so quickly. I instructed him that he could only pet the dogs over the fence, as he always does. That children and him, they always pet the dogs.
So where was he when it happened?
The gate had opened, he went inside.
Then you weren't close enough, Miss Cleary.
I disagree, Your Honor, but...
Well, that's your prerogative to disagree. I'm telling you, it's your fault. It's not her fault. Your son went into her property, and you were outside, and it's your responsibility to take care of your child. It's not her responsibility to take care of your child. And you had the opportunity to do that by taking him by the hand with his friend Lily, walking him over to the fence, saying, I want to go and pet the dogs. Fine. Don't go into the yard, because you don't know what 2 5-year-olds do. 2 5-year-olds don't always have judgment. And this is a situation where you're looking to blame somebody else for your negligence, malfeasance, lack of proper parenting, and you're not going to do that here. Your case is dismissed. You were wonderful, Nicholas. Goodbye.
All these I see is you may step out.
She needs to learn her parenting much better.
It was simply an accident.
I think Nicholas is really sweet, but I don't think it was my dogs.
Actually, this woman had no concern for my son.
I'd ask many times to keep him home when I wasn't home.
This woman has harassed my family and I numerous times.
She came down screaming and yelling the night of the 10th.
Actually,
you
I
can't
asked
really
if the dog
speak
was
to her. You have
vaccinated.
to scream and yell.
She came out basically very defensive, saying his blood was on her side of the property.
She went off with her little friend screaming and yelling that they're going to effing sue you, effing this, effing that, just like every day goes.
He was screaming with a face full of blood.
We're in escrow on a new house, and we get to get away from the screaming maniac.
He wasn't very nice about it. There was no apology, none.
There won't be.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Westervelt versus Weaver. Step forward, please.
20-year-old college student Michael Westervelt is suing fellow college student Brian Weaver for pain and suffering. Michael says Brian damaged her hearing when he set off a firecracker.
How old are you?
22.
You know what your IQ is? You know what an IQ is?
Yes, I do.
Do you know what your IQ is?
No, I don't.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a bellman at a hotel.
How long have you been steadily and gainfully employed?
4 years.
You live alone?
Nope, I live with 2 roommates.
Do you pay your bills on time?
Yep.
Do you drive a car?
Yes, I do.
You have insurance?
Yes, I do.
So you think you're a pretty responsible guy?
I would say so.
Then why would a reasonably nice-looking, seemingly normal, 22-year-old responsible guy who maintains a job, maintains a bank account, drives a car, has insurance, fool around with firecrackers and set them off in a house? You want to tell me why somebody would do that?
Yeah, just at a party, everyone's drinking.
So you were drunk?
I wasn't drunk. I'm saying everyone
Had
was
you
drinking.
had something to drink?
I had.
How much did you have to drink?
Few cocktails.
What was the date of this party?
I don't know exactly. I'd say 5 days before Christmas.
In somebody's apartment?
It was in somebody else's house.
But indoors?
Indoors. We were in the kitchen. About 6 of us were standing in the kitchen making drinks. There was about another 10 people out in the living room. And I saw some firecrackers on the counter. I was going to throw them in the sink.
You mean you were going to light them first?
Light them and throw them in the sink.
You weren't just going to throw them in the sink. You were going to light them and throw them in the sink.
Right.
How big were the firecrackers?
I don't know. Lady fingers, about 1.5 inches.
How many did you pick up?
I picked one.
So you picked up the firecracker.
Picked up the firecracker. Sink's in front of me. I'm standing in the doorway. This is the living room. I'm in the kitchen. I go to light it. The fuse takes off quicker than I anticipated. And in panic, I kind of flung it up in the air. It went out this way into the room above about 9 other people's heads. And after the bang...
And exploded.
And exploded in the air. And after the bang, when people found out what it was, everyone pretty much calmed down, except for Michael, and she was pretty angry.
Shaken up.
And bitter. Yeah, she was
and
shaken
angry.
up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Just because you can't see it doesn't mean you're not liable. That's for me to decide whether your stupid, irresponsible, childlike actions caused her discomfort.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Westervelt is suing fellow college student Brian Weaver for pain and suffering. Michael says Brian damaged her hearing when he set off a firecracker.
Okay, you're suing him for $5,000 because you say because of that you have bad hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Show me.
Well, Your Honor, when he threw the firecracker, it didn't explode in the air. It exploded parallel between my ear and my friend who was sitting next to me. So when the firecracker exploded, it was, I mean, a couple inches closer, it would have been hitting my face. I mean, it was right there.
He's an idiot. There's no question about that.
Yeah, so...
Show me what it says about your medical bills and show me what it says about your hearing test.
These are the 2 bills that I have. And then this is a hearing test. And it shows that my left ear is 100% and my right ear, the damage from the... I had pressure and ringing, and I've had headaches ever since the incident.
What were the firecrackers doing in this house?
I have no clue. What was the damage to her ear before that incident?
No. I can only tell from what she tells me. She tells me that she had headaches afterwards and that she had ringing in her ear. I don't know what her hearing was before that. It's part of the problem because she doesn't have expert testimony with regard to that. But you certainly are responsible for some part of the discomfort that she had, certainly for all of her bills.
But I don't feel that because there was 9 other people in the room and she's the only one that had a problem with it.
So?
So I don't know if there was ringing or headaches. I mean, how do I know she didn't have headaches before this?
She may have. She says she didn't.
I don't feel that I owe her money for her ears, personally.
Well, let me ask you this question, sir. What if the firecracker, instead of going off a couple of inches away from her face, hit her face and burned her face? Would you feel as if you were responsible?
Sure, because I would see that there was no burn mark before she came into the party. And
then I have to say, just because you can't see it doesn't mean you're not liable. That's for me to decide whether your stupid, irresponsible, childlike actions caused her discomfort. If I find that they did, you are responsible. Now, you may not be responsible to the full extent that she wants you to be responsible, but you certainly are responsible. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a full-time student.
What day of the week was this?
It was a Friday, and it was the end of finals for school, so everybody was celebrating.
Okay. Did you go home immediately afterwards?
Afterwards, my friend drove me to my sister's house, which was closer to the location and that we were partying at. And I immediately told her what kind of discomfort I was in. And my mother is an RN, and I saw her the next day, and I still had the ringing. And
how long did it last?
Headaches. The ringing lasted for 3 days, and I've had headaches ever since. And after he threw the firecracker, I turned around to see who did it. And he was pointing and laughing. It was humiliating. You know, everybody in the kitchen.
Shouldn't have been humiliating to you because he was acting like a fool.
I know he was acting like a fool, but just the pain, immediate pain, you know, and to have somebody laugh at you because of it.
Okay, but I wasn't laughing.
He's a fool. He can't help it.
All right, Your Honor.
Listen to me. It's genetic. It's genetic. He doesn't get it. Did he ever come over and apologize to you? What did you say when you got the flowers and the note from him the next day? Did you call him and thank him?
I wish I could have.
Yeah, because they never came.
No.
And the follow-up also never came. A week later, a couple of weeks later?
Nothing.
He can't help it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Can't help it. You know, I mean, it's not a legal defense, you know, his genetic infirmity. But I want you to have some sort of sympathy for him because he's going to be like that forever. He's cooked. So I can't say, you know, when he grows up, he'll get better. When he grows up, he'll get smarter. When he grows up, his IQ will increase. This is what it is, madam. You have to have a certain amount of sympathy for him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The firecracker's thrown in the middle of the air, and she's the only person that's going to have ear problems. I mean, you know, who's to say she didn't have ear problems before?
You throw a firecracker at somebody's face, there's going to be a problem afterwards, you know?
I don't even think it went by her. It was by 9 other people.
I just hope he can grow up.
I think it's absolutely bogus. I apologize.
Okay, I accept his apology, and I hope he learns from this.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Widmeyer versus Darby. Step forward, please.
Small business owner Gary Widmeyer is suing his ex-wife, 28-year-old rehab technician Jennifer Darby, for an overpayment in daycare costs. Jennifer says Gary needs to stop whining.
Mr. Widmeyer, Miss Darby is your former wife, and according to your complaint, you have overpaid an amount in excess of $5,000 for child care expenses. Miss Darby, in effect, and I've read your answer very carefully, you say, stop whining. Is that right? That's just about right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I see a copy of the judgment of divorce while we're taking testimony, please?
Same thing. Marital settlement.
Same thing. I'm sure they're the same thing. So tell me, when were you married? When were you divorced?
We were married in 1992, divorced in 1996.
And how many children do you have?
1.
Boy or girl?
Girl.
You visit with your daughter regularly?
Yes, I do.
So far, correct?
Yes.
Is there currently a child support order that you pay through the court?
Yes, there is.
And what amount?
$80 weekly.
Are you current in your child support?
No, I'm not.
How far behind are you?
Approximately $2,000 to $3,000 behind. I'm making payments on that.
How did you get behind?
I lost my job about 2 years ago, started my own business, and struggled for a while, and I have since took a part-time job in addition so that I can catch back up.
Let me just take a look at this. I see. In addition to the $80 a week, the judgment of divorce fixes an amount, $35 a week, representing 1/2 of the child care expenses, which at that time must have been $70 a week. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, how much was the child care?
Every year it was different.
So how much additional did he pay, Miss Darby?
He didn't pay anything additional. Just the $35 that was ordered.
No.
Oh.
When did that change? In 1996, how much was the daycare for the child?
The $2,100.
So even in the first year, he paid more than half. Is that right? Yes, it's right.
Yeah.
Trust me. Even in the first year, he paid more than half. Did you tell him?
No.
Okay. Since 1996, what was actually paid for daycare was $15,714. That sound right?
Around there, yeah.
And he paid $10,920 of that. Is that right?
Yes.
You owe him $3,062. Now tell me why you feel as if he's not entitled to that money back. He overpaid.
Because in 2001, he only made one payment that whole year of $200.
Just a minute. He's paying that currently, is that right?
Well,
is he not paying you currently an amount that was fixed by arrears from the court?
he paid it up until 2001 because...
Pay careful attention to what I said to you. How much do you receive right now from the Department of Revenue? How much a week from him?
$80.
What about the money on arrears, the $2,000 for arrears? You don't get anything?
There's an
It's
additional.
$30.
That's what I'm asking you.
Yes.
So you get 80 plus 30 for arrears. So that amount has been fixed. That amount will be paid. Is that right?
Yes.
So you owe him $3,062.
Well, I don't agree with that because since he didn't pay me that whole year, I had to use my credit card bills. I had to get 2 jobs to support our daughter. And, you know, I'm paying all the interest.
In what year?
In 2001 and part of 2002.
Pay careful attention to me. You were overreaching a little bit even the first year because the amount that he was paying was more than half. You didn't tell him. You didn't tell him. He's currently paying you an additional $30 a week that will go as and for those arrears that accrued when he wasn't working. So he's done pretty much the right thing. And you have to do the right thing. Your defense to this cannot be stop whining. You have no defense. If he's doing the right thing and paying child support, paying the order, and visiting regularly, you have to do the right thing. If the child care goes down, you have to say to him, child care went down. Your $35 a week is much more than half. It covers the whole thing. So that's unreasonable, madam. Don't be unreasonable. I don't like it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,062. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He wasn't responsible for a couple of years, and now all of a sudden he's getting money for it.
I'm paying an additional $30 because I am behind. I'm only behind about $2,000, but that does affect me. I have a very small income.
Hopefully he stays responsible and pays.
25-year-old salesperson Angela Davis and 26-year-old security officer John Fraser are suing their former roommate, 27-year-old personal trainer Sean Milliken, for stealing their rent money.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 513 on the calendar in the matter of Davis Frazier versus Milliken. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
I gather that the three of you were roommates and you had an arrangement while you were roommates that Mr. Milliken, the defendant, would collect rents from the two of you, your share of the rent, and he would pay the landlord once a month. Is that what your arrangement was?
That's right.
And it is your claim that you paid him the rent for January of this last year, and somehow the landlord never got your rent.
Correct.
So you want to be reimbursed for the rent as well as some other utility bills, etc. Mr. Milliken has some cockamamie defense, which I really, quite frankly, don't understand, Mr. Milliken, but I'm sure given an appropriate amount of time, you're going to explain it to me, right?
I can.
Sure you can. Okay. How long were you roommates?
For about 6 months.
And the arrangement worked okay with giving Mr. Milliken your rent and him paying the landlord?
Correct.
How much was your share of the rent?
My share was about $405.
Don't tell me about. It was $405?
$405.
And yours, Miss Davis?
$475.
Why was yours more?
I had the master bedroom with the bathroom.
As it should be. And how much was your share of the rent?
$405.
And there were just the three of you?
Correct.
So tell me what happened in January's rent.
Okay, December 13th, I gave him $200 out of my paycheck for January. And then December 23rd, I think it was, I gave him the other $205 to pay for January's rent. So
Fine. So far correct, sir?
That is correct.
So you're paid up for January?
Yes.
And you, Miss Davis?
I paid on January 3rd a check for the amount of $475.
$475. And you cashed the check. Mr. Milliken?
Yes.
Good. Okay, and is it conceded among the three of you that January's rent never got to the landlord?
Somehow it didn't.
Correct.
So it never got to the landlord. All right, Mr. Milliken?
My rent is $405. I have a friend who, she decided to pay my rent, and Angie did not work, and we weren't sure if she was going to come up with the rent. She wasn't sure as well, so I went to a friend, and she loaned me my $405, and Angela's $475. It came up
But Angela already gave you, has now given you the $475.
This was prior to her giving me the money.
So you have a friend who decides to loan you some money.
$880.
And this friend's name is?
Natasha.
And where is she now?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
She was just an acquaintance.
You know that that's a dumb story. That this
I know
is a
it
dumb
is.
Story. It's a very dumb story.
It sounds like a dumb story, but it's
a
true.
very dumb story.
It's true.
All right, so tell me, let me hear the rest of the story.
Natasha gave me $880 as a loan to pay my rent and Angie's rent.
Where is Mr. Frazier's rent? His $405 in cash.
I gave her the $405. She wrote me a check for the full amount of $1285.
Go ahead.
I then took the check, and at that time, to pay the rent, I was going on vacation. I was in a hurry. I dropped it in the Dropbox. The only time I've ever dropped in the Dropbox. I was on vacation for 3 or 4 days. I came back, and John told me the rent hadn't been paid. I went into the apartment office to check, and they said they hadn't received it. I gave them the name of Natasha, and they looked for the check, and they didn't find it.
So?
So then John took it upon himself to ask his boss for the money, and he borrowed $1,285 from his boss and paid the rent on
So now John is paid twice.
John is paid twice on his own, yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the check was never found.
Yes. And where's Natasha?
They're saying I owe them $1,335. The rent is only $1,285.
Just a second. Just a second. Where's Natasha?
I don't know where Natasha
Well,
is.
3 days later, when you found out, sir, that they never got the check, you call Natasha and say, put a stop payment on that check. We're going to reissue another check.
I called Natasha. She said the check had been cleared.
He's a hustler. He's a hustler. Okay. $1,285 you borrowed from your boss? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I borrowed $1,000 from my boss, and I put the rest from my paycheck.
You mean to make up January's rent?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I say something?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why I owe him the $1,285. I already paid the rent. I paid the rent. I put it in the Dropbox.
Just a second. Listen to me, sir.
Yes.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
Let's start out with that.
Okay.
Furthermore, Mr. Frazier has paid the following amounts. He has paid you in cash $405, for which he got no benefit, correct?
Correct.
Then he paid additional amount of money because he paid $1,285 because he also paid for you. He also paid for you. You
By
understand?
his choice.
What are you, an idiot? Huh? They perhaps didn't want to be out on the street, and they knew
They
it
were
wasn't the
planning
right thing
on
to do.
leaving anyways.
So what difference does it make, sir? They gave you the money. You blew it. I don't know what you blew it up or around, but you blew it. You made up some story about a vanishing Russian, right, who is gone in the wind, like Zhivago.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Is the phone in his name?
Yes.
So what's your problem?
I was going to pay my portion, and he said, no, pay the whole bill.
Did you?
No, I did not.
Good. Perfect. It's in his name?
Yes.
So he'll never be able to put a phone on again.
And later today,
my mom's situation was getting worse. I was getting frustrated with it, and I wanted my brother.
Problem?
She has a drug problem.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Davis and John Fraser claim former roommate Sean Milliken stole their rent money. Sean is denying the charge.
Okay, what else does he owe you for? You say utility bills. What utility bills?
I have right here, Your Honor, a phone bill that Sean and I
Excuse
were...
me, Your Honor, that phone bill is in my name. How can I owe him something that's in my name?
Is the phone in his name?
Yes.
So what's your problem? Did you
Well,
pay him?
because we were paying half, always. It's
So?
always been like that.
So?
So I was going to pay my portion, and he said, no, pay the whole bill.
Did you?
No, I did not.
Good, sir.
Okay.
Perfect. It's in his name?
Yes.
So we'll never be able to put a phone on again.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,285. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If Sean would have just been honest with us in the beginning, then I think that we would have had mercy on the situation.
I told the truth, paid the rent, and somehow I didn't come out ahead.
Since he was being deceitful, it just ruined everything.
I understand why they're assuming they do believe in their heart that I lied or stole their money, but that's just not correct.
I don't believe his story about Natasha, and I think it's a bunch of malarkey.
We're not roommates anymore.
Now I can move on with my life.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sparks versus Stevens. Step forward, please.
22-year-old construction worker Chris Sparks is suing his former friend, 22-year-old student Sean Stevens, for the cost to fix his truck. Chris says the truck was damaged while in Sean's possession.
Mr. Sparks, when were you beaten up at this bar?
In late December, or early.
Give me the date, sir, not late. Give me the date.
It was about December 20th.
Is that right?
November 21st.
Does that sound right to you, Mr. Sparks?
Yes.
You were beaten up, I gather, pretty badly, so that you were hospitalized. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, the defendant was a friend of yours. Somehow he was contacted and came over to the bar where you were. How did that happen, Mr. Stevens?
I was at my house with my girlfriend, and then I got a phone call from a buddy of ours and from another random person I've never met before. They called me and told me that Chris had been beaten up really bad and I need to come down. Came down, went inside the bathroom, and
Okay, so you came down to the bar. How did you find Mr. Sparks when you got there?
when I arrived in the parking lot, there were everybody that was inside the bar was outside and told me he was in the bathroom. I ran in the bathroom. There was blood all over the place. He was lying on the ground.
Where was he bleeding from, Mr. Stevens?
He was bleeding from the back of his head by the skull.
What about on his face?
All over his face. Here, everywhere.
Was an ambulance called?
Not personally by me, but by somebody that was there.
Did you accompany the ambulance to the hospital?
No, I didn't. They wouldn't allow me. Chris told me to take his truck and drive it down to UCLA Medical Center where the paramedics told me he would be. They flew him in a helicopter down there.
Oh, they took him by helicopter?
Yes, ma'am.
So you must have been in pretty bad shape, sir.
Yes.
And do you recall telling Mr. Stevens to take your truck to UCLA Medical Center?
No, because I was in and out of consciousness the whole time.
In and out of consciousness and in and out of sobriety, I assume, as well.
A little bit of that, too.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your deputy, and obviously, is on your side.
My deputy, of course, is on my side, because most normal people would be on my side, because when you pass a car, you can't pass a car on both sides unless you're flying on top of it like Dumbo.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chris Sparks is suing his former friend, Sean Stevens, for the cost to fix his truck. Chris says the truck was damaged while in Sean's possession.
So this is what this case is about, Officer Byrd. Listen to me very carefully.
Okay.
He gets a call late at night. He's with his girlfriend. He leaves his girlfriend. He comes to the bar where this guy was probably drunk as a skunk, got into a fight with somebody in the bar, and they pulverized him in the bathroom. Mr. Drunko over here asks him to please take his truck and drive it to the UCLA Medical Center. He does that. This is on November 21st.
Okay.
On November 23rd, he drops the truck off at one of their houses, either this one or the father over here. And they notice that the truck is damaged on the side. And they want Mr. Stevens to pay for the damaged truck. That's what this case is about. Isn't that right?
Yes.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Right. So now, Mr. Sparks, I would like for you to tell me, sir, why you think Mr. Stevens is responsible for the damage to your truck.
Well, the reason I think he's responsible is it was in his possession. My dad saw the truck at the hospital. It was not damaged. And
Oh, really?
yes.
I'd like to hear that. Well, not that it's dispositive of this case, but I would like to hear that. Step up, Mr. Sparks.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you get to UCLA when, sir?
I arrived at the emergency center at about 2:30 in the morning.
In the morning?
Oh, yes.
Really? And I assume that you had gotten a call. You were pretty upset.
Very upset. Oh, God.
So what happened when you got there, sir?
Well, parked the car, and then between my car and the entrance to the emergency room was the truck was parked where Sean had parked it. And on the way by, I happened to notice it and noticed that there was no damage. You know, everything seemed normal
Really?
with the truck.
You went on both sides and noticed that?
Well, walk by and you see the driver's side and then you see the passenger side.
Really? How do you see the driver's side and the passenger side walking by it?
Cars pulled into a space like this. You walk by like this.
Yes, you see one side of the car.
And then you see the other side.
How do you see the other side?
You turn and look. I happened to notice it was Chris's truck.
You're a liar.
No, I'm not.
Oh, yes, you are. Either you're a liar or you're a lousy father. Which one are you?
Not a liar. I'm a great
Which
father.
one? No, you're either one, sir. Because if I got a call that my son had been airlifted to UCLA Medical Center because he was injured, the last thing I would do was to glance back to make sure that the truck was okay. That's the last thing I would do.
Well, Your Honor.
That's the last thing I would do because there wasn't any indication that he was in an accident in the truck. So either you're lying about seeing it or you're lying about being a good father.
No, I did not double back. On the way by the car, I noticed both sides of the truck. Your deputy, and obviously, is on your side.
My deputy, of course, is on my side, sir. You know, I don't know why? Because most normal people would be on my side because when you pass a car, you can't pass a car on both sides unless you're flying on top of it like Dumbo.
Well, Judge, all I can do is
like
tell you
Dumbo. Then maybe you could see the top and maybe you could see the sides.
Judge?
Other than that, when you pass by a car, you can only see one side.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Okay, I was just curious to hear what you had to say, sir. I was curious to hear how you justified going in to see your son, who has recently been airlifted to an emergency room, and checking to see if the car was okay on your way inside. Not that it's dispositive, because maybe after you got inside, somebody came by while the car was in the parking lot and sideswiped it. Is that possible?
I guess it's possible.
Of course. Now, when you got there, was Mr. Stevens there?
Oh, yes. And glad,
Did you
glad
say,
he was there.
listen to me carefully, sir. Did you say to Mr. Stevens, thank you very much. What can I do to help you? Can I drive you home? Thank you very much for being in the truck here. Is there anything that I can do?
Well, my first concern was after seeing my son.
No, your first concern was looking at the truck, according to you.
And when I was in the room, after I saw Chris, then that's all I was worried about. And I appreciated Sean. You know.
So you appreciated him so much you're suing him.
Well,
Is that
if the truck
right?
is damaged,
what
do you expect me to do?
I expected you to pay for it, and thank you, lucky stars, that your son is standing next to you. Case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm trying to help a friend out.
Think it turned out bad.
I guess in his eyes, we obviously weren't that good of friends.
She didn't choose to believe it.
I miss his friendship.
It's over.
I'm happy it's over with.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Olshansky versus Longo. Step forward, please.
Administrative Assistant Elaine Olshansky is suing former friend, 23-year-old interior decorator Jason Longo, for a refund of his fee and for damage to her home. Jason is countersuing for the unpaid portion of his fee.
Ms. Olshansky, you hired the defendant to do some painting in your house.
Correct.
And paid him some $2,200. It's your claim that he did a lousy job. You want your money back, and not only do you want your money back, you want him to pay you to have some of the work that he did treated by somebody else. So you're suing him for even more than what you paid him. Mr. Longo said that he did a fine job, that you're angry about something else, and he was a friend of one of your children's. Is that right? That's how you knew him?
Correct.
Had he had experience in the painting and decorating business?
I was told he did.
How much work was he supposed to do?
He was supposed to do my dining room, and then we agreed verbally that he would do some extra painting.
Tell me what he was supposed to do, Miss Olshansky. Not just your dining room for $2,200. Come on.
What he did is he painted the dining room, and he painted the trim in the living room, and he had my son help him with...
What other rooms did he paint?
The living room and the hallway. And upstairs in our bathroom, he painted the bathroom vanity.
What work did you do in her house?
Our original agreement was to work on the dining room, which is where I started. As I was working on the dining room...
Okay, what were you supposed to do in the dining room?
The dining room, we were trying to remake the whole thing. She had gorgeous furniture to begin with. We were just removing the wallpaper that was existing.
Okay, so let's start that. You were removing wallpaper.
Yes.
What's next?
We decided on a color scheme for the dining room and a finish that we wanted to do in the lower half. Basically planned out the lighting fixture that we wanted and the colors that were going to be in the room, especially the lower half, we decided to do a faux finish and put a chair rail in the center.
Just a second. Now, then you did living room trim.
Yes, I did, at no charge.
And hall.
I did the crown molding in the hall.
And what about the vanity upstairs?
The vanity was part of our original agreement to do with the dining room. When she approached me about the dining room, she also said she was remodeling both bathrooms upstairs, and she had asked me what we could do with the vanity, and it was a wood, but because of the heat steam damage, it was kind of tarnished, so we decided to paint it, and we used a metallic paint to mimic the border tile that was upstairs.
Your Honor, it wasn't damaged. My upstairs vanity was not damaged. It was in perfect finish because he didn't prime that either. He just painted right over it very nicely.
Right. And your original agreement was $2,200, is that right?
Yes. The work also included, though, the solarium room in the back of the house, which what happened was we started doing work in the dining room, and then as I was working in the dining room, Mrs. Olshansky purchased furniture for, I believe it was the living room, but decided that it wasn't going to work out, so we decided to redo their solarium area in the back. That was also included in the price that she paid me, and that was mainly interior decorating. There was no painting done out there. It was just making it into kind of like a cluttered area, into like a nice sitting room with new furniture, accessories, and
So what
such.
did you do in that area?
No painting was done, just accessorizing, purchasing accessories.
That's what you did?
That's correct.
Okay. So that sounds like a reasonable amount of money, $2,200. So what are you complaining about?
The paint is all peeling
Let me
everywhere
see.
he painted. I have many pictures.
Let me see where it's peeling.
Your Honor, I also have pictures of the before work and the during stage process work. I was not allowed to photograph the after work. The plaintiff did not allow me back into her home to do so.
You never asked.
Shh. This is an outside picture, is that right?
No, it isn't. That's the
That's
back
the
porch.
solarium.
Those are the wires hanging where he did wiring, and it caught on fire because he only used electrical tape and wired 3 wires together, and it caught on fire.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Yes, it is, Your Honor. It's true.
Your Honor, I have a degree in fire protection technology, and I've been in school and been with the fire service for 6 years. It's not true.
Who did the wiring,
Okay.
Jason?
You have a fire marshal's report?
No. We just
Okay.
unplugged it and put the fire out.
I have no idea where you say the paint is peeling. Show me in those, at the blow-ups.
Your Honor, would
These
you
are
like to see my pictures?
Yeah. I find it very hard to look at these blow-ups, so don't show me your... Don't you have regular pictures?
I use a digital camera, so I have to print them out. First set of pictures starts with the dining room before. Your Honor, her son also helped me paint. I'd like to see the pictures to make sure that's my work.
Absolutely. Well, whether it's your work or her son's work, it doesn't make any difference. You were the contractor.
Your Honor, I also have estimates.
For what?
To repair the damage that was done.
I'm not going to give you any amount of money to repair damage. I've seen the photographs. If you're not satisfied with the job that he did, I suggest you not give him any recommendation.
The pictures show peeling paint. It's latex painted over oil base, which peels like rubber.
Ma'am, this is the letter from the company that I use.
Put it down. Where was the paint peeling? In what room?
Every room, at every spot, it peels off because it's latex over oil. I have.
What do you mean every room and every spot?
All
I've
of
seen.
them.
Look, listen to me.
All the trim
I
work.
saw
just the
these-
trim. Just the trim is painted latex over oil. And I asked him. I questioned him. I said, I don't believe that you can put latex over oil. And he said, you can as long as you prepare properly.
Your Honor, that was her initial concern, and I did acknowledge that that was an issue that we had to take into account. However, I knew that you could paint latex over oil paint. The dining room was sanded down. The other rooms I cannot account for because I came in midway through the whole
Which
situation.
other rooms?
The dining room was the only room I personally painted myself completely.
No, you painted all of the trim in the living room, and you had Peter, without charge, help you get through painting
Right, and
the
I was
hallway.
also without charge helping the hallway and the living room.
You know, charges...
Just a second. Is that true?
If
That
you-
your original estimate was for the dining room and the
Upstairs
vanity.
Correct.
And the other
And the
trim
decorations.
that he did either helping you out with your son or whoever else was helping him out. Was it your son who was helping him?
Yes.
And that was as a favor?
No, the work wasn't as a favor.
That's a lie.
He agreed to paint in those rooms also.
That is not true.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
If you're not satisfied, don't give him a recommendation, Miss Olshansky.
Your Honor,
That's all.
what happened was...
That's what? Listen to me. You're not losing.
I understand.
You had some sort of a falling out that involves a social issue, which you seem to suggest here, involving her son, that has absolutely nothing to do with me, that has nothing to do with this case. Ms. Olshansky is complaining about a subjective look at work, which she says is below par. And I'm saying, based on what I see, the rooms, as painted, look just fine to me.
It's just the trim, not the wall.
Well, they get somebody to fix the trim. And what are you suing him for $3,000 for, which is more than even you paid him?
That's what the estimates are.
Get your son to do it. Strip down the trim if you're not happy with it and repaint it in either latex or flat or whatever color you like.
Your Honor, may I say something?
You had practically your whole house done. Don't say anything. You're not losing. What's your problem?
I just want to let her know she had complained about the amount that I had charged her, and she was saying that I basically owed her to do the rest of the rooms and that I owed her to do the repairs based off the amount that that I charged her for. And I have I have documents that show that she has discounts in excess of $2,500 that I had given her because she was a friend of mine. So if she's saying that I overcharged her, it's completely untrue.
Excuse me, just a second. She's not complaining you overcharged her, sir.
She's complaining.
She's not complaining that you overcharged her. She knows that for the amount of work she had done in her house, she was getting a bargain. She knows that. Her problem is the bargain turned out to be not such a bargain because she wasn't happy with some of the trim work that was done. For that, you don't sue. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I offered to make repairs in Mrs. Olshansky's home, but she denied me the right to come back into her home before the date that she had set.
In person, my home is a shambles.
As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing else I could have done.
We never will have him work in our home again, and he's not welcome.
19-year-old student Serena Coles is suing her ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old machinist Kunta Kinte Plunkett, and his brother, Arthur Plunkett, for unpaid loans and attorney fees.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 406 on the calendar in the matter of Coles versus Plunkett. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Miss Coles, how old are you?
19 years old.
Do you work?
Not at this time, I don't.
What do you do?
I was a student. I'm not doing anything right now.
Who do you live with?
My mother.
How do you know them?
I know Kunta Plunkett. I met him at a bar in the casino.
What's his first name?
Kunta.
Who was that?
That's me.
How old are you?
25.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a millwright.
What does that mean?
It's like a machinist.
You get paid a weekly salary?
Yes.
What's your salary?
About $700.
And what do you do for a living?
Construction worker.
You his brother?
Yes.
How old are you?
28 years old.
How did you meet her?
We met at the casino last year.
Did you go out with her?
Yeah.
For how long?
About 7 months.
Did you go out with her exclusively?
Yeah.
So you didn't see anybody else?
I did not, no.
Okay. Now, Ms. Coles, it's your claim that these two gentlemen scammed you out of almost $4,000. And I want you to tell me how that happened.
Okay, it came about that he asked me one day.
Who's he?
Kunta asked me if I had a checking account.
I want you to look at me when you speak. If you had a checking account.
If I had a checking account. And I told him yes. And then he said he knew a way that I can get free stuff. And he told me how it was done.
Well, why don't you explain to me what he said to you?
He said that...
I want you to look at me when you're explaining this.
I am. He said that we could get free stuff by me writing my name in different signatures on checks, take them to the stores, write the checks.
What do you mean he told you write your name differently on the checks?
Like write your name on the checks differently.
So that you can then later say that it wasn't your signature?
Yes. Go to the bank after the checks went through.
Just a minute.
I'm sorry.
Okay. What were you going to tell them at the bank?
Let the bank contact me after the checks went through. And when the bank contacted me, let them know that I didn't write the checks. And he made it sound real good.
You mean like it was a good way of...
Like the bank would pay for everything. I wouldn't pay for anything. I was stupid.
Stupid? You knew that it was wrong. You knew it was wrong.
Not yes.
What do you mean not yes? What does that mean, not yes?
I mean, yes, I knew it was wrong, but I guess I wasn't thinking at the time, Your Honor.
Well, you better start thinking.
I did right after it was too late.
So you went shopping with the two of them?
Yes. He asked me to buy some stuff for his brother, Arthur. His brother would pay me back.
No, he didn't.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
No, did you write checks for Arthur stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you wrote checks for Arthur stuff, it was your intention, Miss Coles, that the bank was paying.
But he told me he would pay me. No, he did.
Miss Coles, okay. Let me make this clear to you. Already you told me that you were a thief. Shh, please, this is not funny. Already you explained to me in detail why you were a thief. I don't want you to be a liar, too.
I'm not.
Because listen to me carefully. What you just told me, Miss Coles, was that you went along with a scheme to defraud the bank by writing your signature in different ways so that later you could disclaim that you ever wrote those checks. So that the bank would think that somebody got a hold of your checks
Yes, ma'am.
and forged your signature so that he wasn't going to pay you back for the stuff because you weren't going to pay for the stuff to begin with. The bank was going to pay for it.
But, Your Honor, they told me he would pay me. He said he would give me something. And after it was done that weekend, I realized that what I did was wrong. And I went to the bank. I called an attorney. I told her everything that happened. And she advised me to go to my bank and talk to my bank manager. That's exactly what I did. And I stopped myself from getting in any more trouble. And I paid $3,363 of it off, and I'm still paying for it. And all I want is for them to pay for the merchandise that they have. I want them to take responsibility of what they did.
What they did was make a fool out of you.
Yes.
According to you, what they did was make a fool out of you, but you were a thief. You were a forger.
But I don't have a background of I'm just a college student. I mean, I was doing good. I just want to go back to school and get my education. I don't have a background in stealing at all.
You did?
Yes, I did. And I learned my lesson. I just
All
want my
right,
money
now let
back.
me hear from you, the Plunkett boys.
You want to talk first? Who you want to talk to first?
Whoever feels like talking to me.
Okay, well, first of all, her case is crazy. Well, she's crazy. But that weekend, she had told me she had cheated on me, and then I was like, well, I don't know about if I want to be with you or not. So I think that Friday we ended up going shopping. She didn't say nothing about.
I don't want to hear from you now. And
prior to that, I was.
take a look at my eyes when we're speaking. Put your papers down.
I'm sorry.
Did you ever have a discussion with her, Mr. Plunkett, with regard to using various signatures on checks in order to defraud a bank?
No.
You think she made that up all by herself?
She must have. She's crazy.
No. Well, you were with her for 7 months, sir. When did you decide she was crazy?
Well, she looked up my criminal record. She was.
Was there a lot to look up, Mr. Plunkett?
I mean,
please.
It doesn't matter. I mean,
No, it does. It matters.
That's my stuff.
Mr.
I mean,
Plunkett, pay careful attention to my questions.
Yeah.
You had been arrested previously in what year?
92.
For what?
Drug selling.
Was that the first time, Mr. Plunkett, that you were arrested?
Yeah.
Shh, quiet.
No.
Let's take from 1996, Mr. Plunkett, forward. How many arrests do you have after 1996?
I had several. I mean, I really can't tell you. It was like minor stuff, driving on suspension. And
No,
stuff
I'm
like
not
that.
talking about driving with a suspended license. I'm talking about other things.
Felonies?
Felonies or misdemeanors?
That drug charge is probably the only felony that I had on there.
May I say something? I have a copy.
You have a copy of this
Yes,
arrest
ma'am.
record? Maybe it'll refresh his recollection. Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
That's how crazy she is.
I have pulled a copy.
That's not crazy.
I have both of theirs, Your Honor.
I'd like to take a look at that.
Okay.
Make it much easier for me. Oh, it's almost a novel.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't like you, Mr. Plunkett. The fact that you are not a nice person, the fact that you have absolutely no moral fiber, the fact that evidently it runs in the family because you got a brother who suffers from the same affliction. Total losers.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Serena Cole says her ex-boyfriend, Kunta Kinte Plunkett, and his brother, Arthur, conned her out of thousands. Serena says the brothers were using her to run a bad check scam.
What were the arrests for false information, Arthur?
Giving the wrong name or something. Or something. I don't deny nothing, I know I'm not an angel. I don't deny.
Sure aren't an angel, sir.
I don't deny me having a history or whatever. I don't know the plaintiff.
Why, if you don't really know her, sir, why would you let her purchase things for you?
Well, things that I received from the plaintiff, I was under intention that it came from my brother as a housewarming gift. I had just purchased a house. I didn't ask
What did you purchase for Arthur?
It's right here, ma'am.
Let me see what you purchased for Arthur.
It's both of theirs.
I want to see what you purchased for Arthur.
For me, she purchased a table and a mattress set from the Salvation Army.
You just said to me 2 moments ago, she didn't purchase anything from me. Anything that I got from my brother.
Yeah.
Now you say to me, she purchased mattresses and a table for you. Were you with her when she purchased it?
Yeah, we were together.
Yes.
My mother was with me also, and
I didn't ask whether your mother was there. I said, were you there with her when she purchased it?
yes.
So then you knew it didn't come from your brother.
No, I was under the intention that it did come from my brother.
I don't know what you mean you were under the intention. I have no idea what that means. Does that mean you were under the impression?
I was under the impression.
That's
Right.
better.
Exactly. When I just purchased the house, I didn't have a bed. And me and my brother had discussed I was needing a bed. He said, well, okay, I know where you can get a cheap bed. It may be used, but it's something for you to sleep on.
Yeah.
And so I'm the only one that had a truck, and she needed a ride. He was there with me also. And so he picked out the bed. It was just a used Salvation Army bed.
Who paid for it?
Serena.
Look 'em.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Serena.
Why would she do that for you?
Because she was my brother's woman. Ex-woman.
So before you were mistaken, Arthur, when you said that anything that you got came from your brother, you actually were with her when she bought you a bed and a table. Yes.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah, we were all together.
No, we were not. Can't you just say yes?
Yes.
So you were together and she purchased it. Now you're telling me she purchased it for you because she's your brother's woman.
Yes.
So you know that she's your brother's woman.
Yes.
You know her well?
Yeah, I seen her at my brother's house. And
Have you ever been to her house?
yeah, I've been to her house.
So you know a little bit about her.
Fairly.
What does she do for a living?
She was a student, and
she was a student.
Yeah, and
Right.
She
was a student.
Yeah, and some odd jobs or telemarketing, whatever she done.
And she lived at home, is that right?
Yes.
You're in construction. Where do you think she got the money to buy you a mattress?
According from what I heard, they were going to buy a truck, and it was his money included with hers.
For what you heard from whom?
From my brother. I just heard them talking about it. So I'm under the assumption that their money were together.
So why wouldn't your brother write a check out of his checking account?
Probably because the truck didn't go through. I guess he was getting his money out of it.
You think that your brother, who's got an arrest record as long as Bird's arm, is going to take the money that he earns as being a machinist and give it to this 19-year-old to put in her bank account so that she could write checks? Is that what you think?
Yes.
He's going to take his money and give it to her? Because he's just a good guy.
I thought they were purchasing a vehicle together.
So you think that your brother took the money that he was earning and gave it to her and said, honey, I want you to put this money in your checking account that's only in your name. Look at him. He can't even, he said, me, I'm not that stupid. Huh? But you think he's that stupid. What I want to know is, you think your brother is that stupid? Because he doesn't think he's that stupid.
Right. I don't go to the store and say, hey, let me see your checks, or let me see whose name is on it.
That's not what I'm asking you, sir.
Yeah.
You're not following what I'm asking you, Arthur.
Yeah, I never knew whose name
I'm
was on it.
asking you whether you think your brother is that stupid that he would take his money and give it to her and say, you put it in the bank in an account in your name.
No, I don't think he would give you something for just her name.
That's what I want. So he wouldn't be that stupid.
Right, he wouldn't.
Okay. So if he's not that stupid, then he would have a joint checking account with her, right?
Something joint.
So that when you went to the mattress place, he would have written a check.
Possible.
But he didn't.
Not that store.
Not that store. Where did he write a check for you?
The Salvation.
Arthur, in what store did your brother write the check?
He has a checking card, a check card.
Debit card.
Debit cards.
In what store did he use his debit card for you?
For himself, I've seen him use it on gas. I've seen him use it on.
She's talking about this.
Well, this incident, he doesn't have a habit of just going out buying things for me. It's just that
Arthur,
that case.
Arthur, your primary language is English, is it not?
Yes.
I am going to ask you the question again, because sometimes it takes you a couple of minutes to get it. On the day when you went shopping with the plaintiff and your brother to get stuff for your house, in what store did your brother use his debit card for you?
For me, none.
That's an answer, Arthur. You see how easy that is? Yeah. Now, you would like me to believe, sir, that these were gifts that she purchased for you because you found out, according to you, that she had cheated on you. God forbid, because you've never cheated on her, right? And she wanted to make that up to you by going out and spending thousands of dollars in this scheme that she concocted all by herself, because she's that smart, right?
Evidently.
Where's all this stuff?
The stuff she purchased after finding this out, the total of mine came to about $200. I don't know where $1,500.
Okay, so it came to $200. So what'd you do?
I still got the bed and the table.
Did you give her back the money?
No, I didn't. It was a gift. I wasn't supposed to.
Then you found out that she had had this elaborate scheme. Let's say it was her scheme. And she went to the bank immediately and she said, listen, I don't want to get into any more trouble.
Yeah.
So why didn't you just give back the stuff?
Well, I talked to her lawyer, and first it was like $1,200. Then it's just been going up, you know. So from there, I seen myself getting deeper and deeper, and I called my lawyers. And they told me, if she doesn't have contract, if she doesn't have it on paper, deal with that.
And what'd you do with all the stuff she got for you?
Well, I got it. She brought me this shirt. She brought me these shoes. I mean, she brought my kids some stuff. I mean, she gave it to me as a gift. I mean, what am I supposed to do with it? I ain't giving it back.
When was the last time you were arrested?
Probably about 98. Maybe longer than that.
No, you're right, 98. You're more recent than that.
Yes. Never been involved with no check cashing, schemes.
No, crack, cocaine, robbery, firearms, knuckles, brass knuckles, possession by a convicted felon, filing false information, controlled substance.
All before the age I was 18?
No. You were arrested in 2002 on the charge of assault.
Yeah.
And how old? You told me you were 28, is that right?
Yes. That's domestic violence.
I mean, that doesn't count.
Yeah, of course.
Miss Coles?
Yes.
I've had a rather enjoyable time with these two. I will tell you that. They are two total losers.
I know that. I understand that.
Total losers.
You're right.
Will always be.
Yes.
And there isn't much of a question in my mind that I believe that this whole scheme was probably Sir Lancelot's idea.
Yes, it was, Your Honor.
Miss Coles, they're not going to pay a penny. You did it!
But they have the merchandise, Your Honor. I just want them to pay for the merchandise that they have. I have learned my... I learned my lesson.
Good.
I'm paying for...
Good. I'm glad you learned your lesson.
And I just want them to pay for what they have, Your Honor. I don't want them...
But for you, they wouldn't have anything, madam.
Thank you.
But I have a letter from my lawyer stating that they said they would reimburse me, Your Honor.
Let me take a look at the letter. Let me see what the letter says.
Is my signature on that letter?
What?
Is my signature going to be on that letter? I don't think it is.
Close your mouth. I don't like you, Mr. Plunkett.
Why,
The fact that I'm teaching her a lesson, you're a loser. Your brother's a loser.
Thank you.
That doesn't necessarily mean she has to be a loser forever. She's 19 years old. But for the fact that she embarked on a scheme to defraud the bank by herself, she wouldn't be in this pickle. She didn't have to listen to you. Somebody says to you, jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, let's see how it feels. They do it, then they're stupid. You're not responsible, she's responsible. The fact that you are not a nice person, the fact that you have absolutely no moral fiber, the fact that evidently it runs in the family because you got a brother who suffers from the same affliction, that's not something the law can deal with. Where's the letter?
I left it in my case.
Well, I don't.
I'm sorry.
It really doesn't make any difference.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a very tough lesson, Miss Coles. By the way, when you came home, you told somebody about what you had done?
Yes.
Who did you tell?
My sister.
And your sister said, you're going to go to jail. You better take care of this. Is that what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right.
And I did take care of it. I was working 4 jobs to get out of this. And I just want them to pay for some of it. I mean, that
would be the right moral thing for them to do, to pay for some of it. That would be the right moral thing for them to do. They are amoral people.
I just want them to
They are without morals, Miss Cole. And you should have known that because you're not a stupid girl. Somebody tells you to fake your signature so that the bank is going to pay out money, and then you're not going to have to pay because you're going to fill out an affidavit that says that's not my signature, when in fact it was your signature. My 10-year-old grandson would know that that's fraud. What do you want from the courts? You cannot come into a civil court and say, I want what's right to happen, because in order to do that, you have to come in with what they call in the law clean hands. You have to come in and say, I did nothing wrong. They did something wrong. I have clean hands. They have dirty hands. Somebody who doesn't come into court with clean hands cannot ask the court for help. Do you understand that? If you don't understand, I just explained it to you. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's crazy.
Stay away from people that are criminals and no good.
26-year-old baker Felix Martinez Jr. and his mother, Jeannie Foster, are suing the mother of Felix's child, 22-year-old customer service rep Shannon Dudley, for car payments and repair costs.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 457 on the calendar in the matter of Martinez Foster versus Dudley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
You're Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
And this is your?
Mother.
According to your complaint, you co-signed a loan for a car for the defendant. She was your girlfriend at the time, and you have a child together.
Yes.
How old is your child?
2.
You broke up?
Yes.
She stopped making car payments. You repossessed the car, took the car back, made the car payments that she missed. You want Miss Dudley to be responsible for the missed car payments, as well as the cost of repairing the car to put it in a condition so that it could be sold. Miss Dudley says you weren't making child support payments. She fell terribly behind in her bills. She couldn't maintain the car. She spoke to your mother. Your mother agreed to take over the car. She turned the car over to you. That's it. Miss Dudley, I see you're pregnant. It's not his child.
No.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you co-sign this loan?
Around November, I believe. 2002? 2001.
What kind of car is it?
98 Chrysler Concorde.
What kind of insurance do you have on the car?
I couldn't own or operate the car. I didn't keep insurance on it.
Who did?
Shannon.
What kind of insurance did you have on the car?
I had full coverage.
I ask you that question because you say that the car was in an accident and she hadn't had it fixed. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you have it fixed?
Because I didn't have the money for the $500 deductible to pay to fix it.
Okay. When did you separate from the defendant?
April of last year.
And you kept the car?
Yes.
When did you fall behind in the car payment?
I believe in June or July. It's supposed to be $375. I paid $150 and I couldn't, that's all I could afford because I had to pay for our son's daycare and everything.
Was that in June or July?
I believe I paid $150 in June, and then in July I didn't pay anything, and they took the car in August.
Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So she owed $375.
She owed $225 from June, $375 for July, and $375 for August.
I thought you took the car back.
We did take the car in August, but she didn't make the August payment.
But you had the car in August.
Yes.
So she doesn't make the August payment.
Okay.
So tell me about the conversation that you allegedly had with Miss Martinez about the car.
I told her I was behind and I couldn't afford to pay for it.
Did you tell her that by phone or in person?
I told her on the phone.
Miss Martinez, do you remember the conversation?
Yes, I do. She was going to let the car be repossessed back to the finance company, which would destroy everybody's credit. And I asked if she would give us the opportunity to take the car back so that we could try to get that straightened out so it didn't destroy their credit. They're so young, they just don't understand what happens if you do something like that.
Right, so she said okay.
So she said okay, and on August 6th, we took the car back.
Okay. Mr. Martinez, when you separated from each other in April,
Yes, Your Honor.
and she went to live with her mother, were you making child support payments?
No.
Why not?
Because we went to child support recovery and got the papers for her to fill out and for me to fill out so we can get child support rolling. And until that time, we were buying diapers and filling everything up.
What does that mean?
Just giving her stuff for my son until the child support went through.
Were you working?
Yes.
Then I don't understand why you weren't giving her money.
Because it's just considered gifts.
You have a child. The child has to be supported, whether a court tells you or not.
I had him half the time, Your Honor.
Oh, you did?
Yes. I have
What half?
documentation. It's all documented right here. All the months that I had him half the time.
Let me see.
From April to August, I believe.
What's the child's name?
Felix, or Phil.
Absolutely. Looks to me as if you did see him a substantial period of the time, probably half the time. Is that right?
Yeah, I wasn't going to keep him from his father, even if he wasn't
No,
helping
we're talking
me.
about support here. I mean, your defense to letting your car payment go is because
Well, I mean, I was paying for all the daycare and food and clothes and...
You were paying for all the daycare?
Yeah.
Are you working?
Yes, I work full-time.
Yes.
My cousin works for the county, and we got her subsidized daycare.
So?
So it was cheaper for her.
Shh. Just a second. How much was it costing you?
When I fell behind on the car payment, I was paying $150 a week for full-time daycare.
Why weren't you paying half?
I don't know, Your Honor.
I don't know either. Why weren't you paying half?
Because my lawyer told me not to.
Well, that's your problem. That's your problem. Your lawyer told you not to? Fine. How do you expect her to pay $150 a week for child care, which is a lot of money, and also make a car payment of $375? Where were you living?
I was living on my own at the time.
So?
And then
How'd you expect her to do that?
I was paying all my bills that I have, and then getting caught back up on some debt I had from Dr. Bills previously, and then...
How did you expect her to do that, Miss Foster?
I'm not sure at what time she started receiving subsidized daycare, but when she was living at her foster mother's house, she wasn't paying rent. We provided all of her diapers.
I don't want to hear diapers. I'm talking about $150 a week, net money, that she has to come up with in order to maintain her job. And he doesn't have to live on his own. Let him come home and live with you. If he has a child that he's got to support.
He is now.
That's good. That's what he has to do.
He never protested child support. He wanted to pay it all along, and he's never denied that he shouldn't. And from the time that she applied to the time that she was awarded child support, there wasn't an order established, so he didn't...
Doesn't have to have an order, madam. According to what your son tells me, he knew that this $150 a week child care was a very heavy burden on her. So you had a relative who was able to get that subsidized, so he knew about it.
Yes.
And my real question to you is, understanding that she fell behind at a time when she was trying to make ends meet and working full time, why would you sue her? Why? Go ahead.
Your Honor, I didn't... Shannon has a poor work history, so I don't know if she's working or what she's doing. If I gave her that money, how do I know where it's going to? So, I don't know.
Your Honor.
Shh. You don't have to give it to her. Say to her, Shannon, I'm going to pay half of the daycare. I will pay $75 a week, and you'll pay $75 a week. That eases your burden. Wouldn't that have been reasonable?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, did you take care of these bills for the car?
Half of them, Your Honor. I paid for the wreck, then my mom paid for it to get caught back up so it wouldn't ruin her credit.
Well, that's $600. You paid for the wreck.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. So that part of your claim I'm dismissing, because you don't want that money from her, do you? I didn't think so. Question is your mother acting reasonably in suing Miss Dudley? I believe you are entitled to your $600 that you paid to catch up on the car payment. Now, do you see this grandchild frequently?
Not as frequently as we used to. The kids are still battling over that. There was a mediation that's going to be set up, and Shannon said that she liked the way that things were. She couldn't afford mediation, and that she wasn't going to change on what the visitation has been reduced to. From what it was in the little diary to what it is now is...
What is it now, Shannon?
It's every other Tuesday. He stays overnight from Tuesday morning to Wednesday afternoon. And then the opposite week of that, he gets him from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on that Tuesday.
Is there any reason for cutting back on the schedule so dramatically?
They had talked me into it ever since I've left him. They both bullied me around about it.
What do you mean they bullied you around about it? Child has a father.
I know. I've never asked him not, I've never held him back and not let him see his father. But it just be a part of his life. The way that it was it was Tuesday until Thursday, and it seemed like every time he went, for a visit on the weekend and came home, he was leaving again, and I hardly ever got to see him.
You think he had him more of the time than you did?
It seemed like it, because I'm working full-time during the day. He works overnight, so he has his days free when he has them.
Now, if he has his days free, as opposed to your son being in daycare, why wouldn't you let him be with his father?
He does. He goes, instead of a standard visitation at Friday at 5 o'clock, he goes in the morning and doesn't go to daycare. He goes to daycare part-time now.
Okay, good. Who are you living with now?
My boyfriend.
What does he do for a living?
He's an electrician.
Does he act reasonably towards your son?
He treats him very, very well.
Good. Does he have children of his own?
No, he doesn't.
Fine. You owe Miss Foster $600.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
As far as the cost of repairing the car, you're going to deal with that. You want to take care of that, right?
Yep.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
His mother handles everything for him, as you can see.
I want to look out for the well-being of my son.
I think that's what ruined it.
She doesn't realize how important it is for a son to be involved in his child's life.
They're only out to get whatever they can get for themselves without any regard to Felix, to my grandson.
If I don't do what she says, she cuts my visitation.
Where he wants to spend his child support, have him pull up his sleeves and see all of his tattoos, what he pays, where he puts his money.
Tattoos, it doesn't cost me as much as they think.
3132, Eagle versus Ulrich. All parties, please step forward.
Tobias Eagle is suing his former friend, Joshua Ulrich, for cryptocurrency profits and equipment.
Mr. Eagle, you and Mr. Ulrich were friends. You were traveling together for business. What kind of business were you in other than this cryptocurrency?
First off, we weren't friends initially. We were first business partners, and we worked together underneath my mentor through his company, Symbio. Yes.
Okay. And what kind of business?
It was teaching workforce development for, I guess you could say, people who needed skills so they can be prepared for engineering jobs.
Okay. You worked at the same company?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you decide to go into this business together?
Around January to February 2021.
This has to do with cryptocurrency?
Yes.
Okay. This cryptocurrency business that you went into together, did you form a company or an LLC?
He already had a company established. I was doing it more as a recreation, but...
So the answer is you and the defendant, when you wanted to go together into this business, did not form a separate company?
No.
So individually, it is your claim that you spent some $20,000 on equipment for this new company.
Yes.
And you were supposed to share whatever profits there were in this new company. And quite frankly, I know nothing about cryptocurrency. I am of the Charlie Munger school of cryptocurrency. I think it's all about the emperor's new clothes. And unless I can feel it, touch it, taste it, smell it, or bite on it, it doesn't exist. So I want you to know that's where I'm starting.
Yes.
Okay? So you're going to explain to me what the business was that you were doing with him that involved buying $20,000 worth of equipment, which you now say is in his possession that you want back.
Yes.
Cryptocurrency.
Okay. He mentioned that he knew how to mine cryptocurrency.
Okay.
That's how we
now
used it.
I understand that those are the words that you use. Where is the mine?
May I explain cryptocurrency to you a little more too, Your Honor?
Love to hear you.
Okay, sorry. Mining is just a term for generating profits from cryptocurrency. There is no physical mine, as you may already be aware. It's not like mining gold.
Yes. It's not like anything. It's like the emperor's new clothes.
Yes, ma'am. But essentially, cryptocurrency...
That's why it collapsed.
Yes. Cryptocurrency mining is just...
You know that it collapsed.
Oh, yes. It collapsed.
Everybody knows that it collapsed.
Yes, ma'am.
Charlie Munger predicted that a long time ago.
Yes, ma'am. But essentially...
You know that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So what you were involved in is a shill game of Emperor's New Clothes, which would have involved all of your investors. Who was it that created cryptocurrency? The Winklevoss?
I don't know who created cryptocurrency.
Brothers? I don't know. Not sure. In any event, somebody had a vivid imagination.
Yes, ma'am. But all crypto is we essentially use our computer resources, specifically a piece called a graphics card that is really good at solving equations. We essentially solve equations for money. That's really all mining is. And
You
so
solve
we generate revenue.
equations for money.
Yes, ma'am.
What equations?
I don't know the specific equations. Essentially, the equations are so complex that when you solve them, you're rewarded for your time and the effort that your computer put into it, and that's where the revenue or mining comes from. We essentially validate transactions the same way you might want to make sure that a transaction on your bank statement is legitimate. And so we were paid for validating these transactions.
You sound like a really bright young man.
I appreciate that, Your Honor.
You really should find something important to do.
I have changed sectors since then, Your Honor.
You have equipment that he paid for?
No, Your Honor. I would actually like to
Just
get in.
a second. I'm
Yes,
just
ma'am.
asking a question. I thought maybe we could resolve this. Show me what equipment you purchased, sir, the receipts for it, and tell me where it is.
And so we're not here specifically for the GPUs that he claimed.
The what?
GPUs, graphic cards.
Just a second. Don't say anything to me, sir. You have the counterclaim for equipment.
I have it for equipment and cryptocurrency assets.
I'm not bothering.
Tobias Eagle claims his former friend, Joshua Ulrich, owes for cryptocurrency profits and equipment.
I contributed $20,000 in equipment, and by the first quarter of 2021, I am suing the defendant, Joshua Ehrlich, for cryptocurrency profits and return or value of equipment.
Yes.
I'm not concerned about cryptocurrency profits, because I think cryptocurrency is a whole lot of who shot John.
Mm-hmm.
And the only ones that probably got skunked are any investors that you put into cryptocurrency.
Well, it still has value, so.
Well, you know something? You tell that to all the people who lost billions in the last 2 weeks. Would you mind just showing me the equipment that you purchased and receipts for it? I didn't ask you for anything.
Yes, Your Honor.
Equipment that you purchased. Okie dokie.
And so for this equipment, it was purchased through an auctioning site. And so they only have a year delay, and then that was the only information I was able to receive from them.
That's not helpful to me, sir. That's not helpful to me at all. I can't, what am I supposed to do with this?
That's just showing that I have proof that I purchased the equipment.
Doesn't show me how much.
It wasn't how much I bought it for. It was because I plan on rebuying the equipment. And so that's just proof that I bought the equipment and that he has it.
That a workstation, a Hewlett-Packard server.
Yes. And I have a price
one
break.
small pallet of miscellaneous battery backups.
Yes. And there were specifically 12
and
of those.
2 Dell towers.
Yes.
Everything here are things that you want back from him.
Yes.
You have nothing in your house of these things.
Of those things, no. Those are in his barn right now.
Okay. Do you have these things?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever have this in your possession?
Yes, at one point I did have it in my possession.
When?
I had it in my possession when we were at a shared facility that was in Rancho Cordova.
Now you're not in a shared facility anymore.
Yes, ma'am. Since we were in a shared facility, I have never had the equipment in my possession. Furthermore, the equipment that he's talking about has nothing to do with this case. This case is primarily around the assets.
You have no idea how simple I'm going to make this, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
He has receipts for certain equipment.
I have receipts for more equipment, and I have a very
Just a second. You have a counterclaim for equipment.
I have it for equipment and cryptocurrency assets.
I'm not bothering with that.
Okay, no worries, Your Honor.
Yeah, no worries. No assets.
No
there are no
problem, Your Honor.
cryptocurrency assets. Where is the equipment that you claim he has that belongs to you?
Well, it was originally at his house when we moved out of the facility. I relocated all of it to his house. I have an inventory ran on the last day I was at his house, marked with the location, the equipment, and a lot of details. I would love to show it to you, Your Honor, if that's acceptable.
Just a second. Do you have...
On that list? No.
No. Do you have any
is-
equipment at your house?
Yes.
What equipment do you have at your house?
The graphics cards that he's talking about.
So you have the graphics cards that belong to him?
No, they belong to me mostly. So I bought most.
What do you mean that they belong to you mostly?
I bought most of the graphics cards. He put in some money for some equipment expenses. And for my estimates, which I wish I could have asked him, was around $3,000 that he put in. And I put around $15,000.
How do you expect a court to dissect this business mess that you've created?
I'm not here for the GPUs or graphics cards. That's why I completely left them out.
No, but he has a counterclaim.
And that's fine. He can present it.
I understand that.
Sorry.
How do you expect somebody to pick apart this legal morass that you have, except to say that all of the stuff should be sold?
Understood.
I don't have any value of what you claim you spent for this because there are no amounts on it.
Yeah.
Well, that's a problem.
I do have documentation, Your Honor, of all of it, and it's labeled who purchased it and the amounts. In addition, the second page here has the totals that he was talking about, and the documentation pages are below
Now,
that.
great. There isn't a lot of very expensive stuff that you paid for, Mr. Ulrich.
There's not too much, no,
No, there isn't too much expensive stuff here, right?
Yes,
you know, we have something for $24, something for $15. You paid for the little stuff, he paid for the big stuff.
Two things, Your Honor, that I would like to mention. First of all, he did not purchase $20,000 worth of assets. This is a highly inflated number. I can actually prove this.
Just a second.
Yeah, no worries.
Just a
No
second.
problem, Your Honor.
I'm not awarding him any money. Each of you will take back the things that you bought. You didn't have a formed company together. It's not a company asset. It belongs to each of you. You're not in business anymore.
Yes.
So all I have to know is what do you have at your house and what do you have at yours?
He has everything, including all the physical assets. The only thing that I have at my house, Your Honor, is, or it's actually on my computer, technically, stored in a digital wallet. A digital wallet is the same thing as a regular wallet. This is just how we store cryptocurrency.
I don't want to care about that.
Sorry.
I don't care
No problem,
about
Your
that. All I'm talking about is equipment.
I have no equipment at my house, Your Honor.
What equipment does he have in his house?
He has everything that's listed on that document that I gave you, and I actually do have proof that he has it because...
I'd like to see it.
So these are text messages from my roommate to his mother.
From who?
From my roommate. He was supposed to be here as a witness.
If he's not here, you can't show me texts from him.
He wasn't able to
Well, you can't prove something to me via hearsay from a witness who's not here.
It's not hearsay, it's just text messages that he gave.
That's hearsay by a person not here. You know, I actually don't think that you're ready to have this case tried. I can't help you. You say you don't have anything in your house. You can't tell me how much the item cost if he said he doesn't have anything in his house. Should I rule that he has to give it back to you and he said, I don't have it, I can fix the dollar amount, but I can't do that unless you have what you paid for it.
I have documentation here that at the value at which I have to pay to buy it back. Because since it was through an auctioning site, I don't remember, I had several auctions I bought most of that equipment from.
You can show me a bank statement where you paid money to an auction house. I just want to see an amount that you paid to the auction house.
I don't have that on me currently.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
Your
Your
Honor,
case is dismissed without prejudice. Go back to the courts where you originally came from and see if they can help you any more than I'm willing to. Can't help you until you get your documentation together, sir. You're the plaintiff in this case. I can't award. You don't have anything if you don't have what you paid for the equipment.
But
he said he doesn't have the equipment.
And he's lying.
It may be, and the proof that you have is inadmissible here because your friend who authored those texts is not here. The case is dismissed without prejudice. Go back to the court where you started it.
Jimmy Davis is suing motorist Micaiah Bigham for property damage to his house from a car accident.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2157, Davis versus Bigham.
Miss Bigham.
Yes, ma'am.
You hit Mr. Davis's house.
This is wall, retaining wall?
Wall.
Yes, ma'am.
You hit his wall.
Yes, ma'am.
With your car.
Yes, ma'am.
It damaged his wall. His wall didn't move. His wall didn't come up on you. And you were at home at the time.
No, ma'am, I was actually away.
Okay, so you didn't see what happened?
Did not visually witness the incident.
Okay.
Just the damage after.
Who did?
There were several neighbors. One of my neighbors called me.
You have no witnesses here today.
I do not have any witnesses with me today. They could not.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Thank you. Accident happened on September 22nd. Whose car were you driving?
It was my car. My dad bought it for me.
When?
Last year. Sometime.
What kind of car is it?
2012 Nissan Altima.
You have insurance on the car?
I have insurance.
Did you have insurance, and you're going to tell me with whom, because that you can check, on September 22nd of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
With whom?
Direct.
Okay, let me see that you had insurance. Do you have proof that you had insurance on the car?
Well, I have the policy.
Were you current on payments for the policy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you had insurance. I'm just wondering why your insurance didn't cover this accident. No. What time did you hit his wall on the 22nd?
It was around 4:30, 4:45-ish.
In the afternoon?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you going?
I was on the way to pick up my uncle to go to my son's football game.
Okay, so Miss Bigham, tell me what happened.
I was getting off the interstate. I turned right. I was coming up to the light. As I was going to the light, I never seen the car.
Go to the chart and explain it to me.
Okay, so this is 28th. I got up the interstate. This is me driving straight to the light. As I was going straight, just how it happened, a car comes out from over here, Haley Park. It hits me. It caused me to go left, but I was in this lane. It was going to cause me to go left and hit the cars in these lanes. So I turned right, and I ended up in his yard to avoid a collision.
Do you have photographs of the rear damage to your car?
It's right here, but you can't see. I guess they cropped out most of it.
I want to see the damage to the right
If I may.
driver's side. Yes.
I have some photos that might be helpful.
I'd like to see them.
These are the car, and these are other damages as well.
So it appears that someone hit her car on the driver's rear panel.
Yes, ma'am.
And took off.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Do you own this home, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And there's no question that you swerved in and damaged his property?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you try to contact her insurance company?
I did.
You went home, you were called, came from wherever you were from work, you came home, you took a look at it. Car was still there when you got home?
No, ma'am. The car was removed. My neighbor was able to put me on the phone with Makia and the police officer, so I was able to get that information. Immediately, when returning home, I reached out to submit the photos that I had taken myself and submit the police report after obtaining it. It took, quite a considerable amount of time to get back with me, but when I reached out again to understand the status, they, said that she's not liable and they were not going to stand behind it.
Can I see what they sent to you? Did they send something to you?
They did send a letter.
I'd like to see it.
I do not have that letter with me, but I actually called to speak with them.
You said they sent you a letter.
Yes, ma'am.
And where is it?
I don't have the letter. It was a denial letter.
That said it was not her fault.
It did not say it was her fault, but they said they could not submit the claim due to, I guess, whatever insurance she had, or whatever coverage she had, the amount of coverage.
Oh, no, that's a different story. You see, that's why I need the letter.
Okay.
Either they said that they're denying the claim because it wasn't her fault, or they denied the claim because she had no insurance to cover it.
The letter also indicated, of course, reaching out to the company to speak and discuss it further. So when I did reach out to the point of contact on the letter to understand why they weren't covering it, the amount of coverage that she had did not cover, I guess, property damage. And that was an argument between me and the company. And
well, how much did it cover?
They did not specify.
Oh, well, that's...
They simply denied it and pushed it away and actually hung up on me. So there's no denying the car's there, right?
Yes.
No denying the accident.
No, I do understand you. Do you have homeowners insurance?
I do have homeowners insurance.
Did you put it in through your homeowners insurance?
Consulted homeowners insurance, and they suggested that I work this out, me personally, instead of taking the hit on my homeowner's insurance as a victim of this accident. So I didn't see that necessary.
Well, Mr. Davis, I sort of disagree with you, sir. And usually that's not the position I take. But if I am to believe Miss Bingham, and based upon the evidence that you presented to me, it clearly demonstrates that she was hit. Her vehicle was a victim of a hit and run. Her vehicle was hit, which caused this accident. There is no indication anywhere in the police reports that she was speeding, that she went through a light.
Based on her own testimony, she swerved in my direction to avoid hitting other cars.
Well, wouldn't that be smart? If her insurance didn't cover it, your homeowners will cover it.
My homeowners covers that, and that's a penalty for me, and I'm a victim here.
So is she.
Crossed over.
Just a second. So is she. She can't find the other driver. I mean, it would be different.
That's her responsibility.
No, sir.
And later, Jimmy Davis claims motorist Micaiah Bingham owes for damage to his house after Micaiah crashed into his yard.
That sounds smart. She didn't want to hit oncoming traffic coming from the other direction.
It was not oncoming traffic. She was in the same lane with the traffic.
If I am to believe her, and your evidence showing that her car was hit in the rear on the driver's side, so I have no reason to doubt her. There was no issue of drugs or alcohol involved. You weren't issued a citation, I assume?
No, ma'am.
No. Then if her insurance didn't cover it, your homeowners will cover it.
Sure.
And you should go through your homeowners.
My homeowners covers that, and that's a penalty for me, and I'm a victim here.
So is she.
Crossed over.
Just a second. So is she.
I understand.
If I am to believe her, and I believe her, so is she.
I understand.
So what I think you have to do is go through your homeowners, not Miss Bingham. She can't find the other driver. I mean, it would be different.
That's her responsibility.
No, sir. She is a victim of a hit and run. She has no way, unless it comes out of her pocket, of compensating you. She has no way, unless it's out of her pocket, of compensating you. She has insurance. You have no evidence to give me today as to why her insurance made a decision that they weren't responsible. You don't have that with you today, and it could very well be, as her insurance company determined, that this accident, while tragic, was not her fault. She was, in fact, a victim of a hit and run. You were a byproduct of that. So I'm telling you, Go to your homeowners.
Well, let me understand correctly here.
What I'm telling you is use your homeowners. That's what I would do.
That's you. I mean, that's a lot of other people would have a different decision. A lot of other people would bring it to small claims court and try to dispute that, and that's what.
Well, that's what you're doing, and I'm telling you that you should use your homeowners insurance because that's what it's for.
Typically, with car insurance, there's property coverage.
You don't have, sir, I'm not accepting your hearsay. You have to prove your case to me. You see, that's your burden. You have to prove your case. I have now made a decision that the accident was not caused by her. She was not
caused by her deciding to
she
swerve into my property.
Are you trying to talk over me?
Just adding a little extra context to it.
It was not caused by substance abuse. It was not caused by speeding. There was no violation given to her. And according to you, she had insurance. So it's up to you to show me why
her insurance
no, not her policy, why you were told her insurance didn't cover it. You don't have that here. In the event that you give me a letter and the letter said she has liability for a certain amount, but it's not the $5,000 that you're alleging that it will cost to redo this. She only had $2,500. Well, then I would say to you, her insurance should kick in the $2,500, and I'm going to give you the other $2,500. You shouldn't be out of pocket. I would do that if she determines to underinsure her liability so that she pays less in insurance. Then that's on her.
The insurance company wouldn't disclose all of that to me.
They sent you a letter, and you don't have it. A
denial letter, and to
no,
reach out to them
that's what you're telling me. That's hearsay, sir.
Okay.
That's hearsay. It's not hearsay if you bring it in to show it to me.
Understood.
So what I'm telling you is this is an incident where, in my judgment, you have two innocent people who were both victims of an irresponsible driver. And if her insurance company, for some reason, and I don't know what it is, that's for her to take up with her insurance company. I don't know whether she's underinsured or whether they determined, after looking at the same things that I determined, that the accident wasn't her fault. So you can't tell me what they wrote because you didn't bring that letter, and we're talking about something that you got a month ago.
Understood.
Okay, good. Then you go through your homeowners because your case is dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
The defendant says she chose to drive into my house instead of hitting another car. Both are equally as dangerous, and that cost me.
I didn't want to hit 5 or 6 other cars. So I just did what I thought was best.
You know, I found out because it's a very public street. Many people know that community, so people reached out.
It was just everything happened so fast. I can't explain the image. It was just like, I'm stuck. You know, my car just got stuck, and I was just like, hey, I'm just glad I didn't hurt anybody else.
Because they saw that it was a very horrible accident.
That's all. I was happy I was still here. Not the car, not the house, me. I'm glad I'm still here to go home my son.
No, the plaintiff really hurt himself with those photos of the defendant's car, and he didn't even notice. I don't think he even notices still. But she had no proof in front of her, no papers, no photos of what her car looked like, so she would have no way of showing that the accident was not her fault. But he proved that the accident was not her fault based on the photos of the car and just the situation in which her car got hit. But that's the reason that people have insurance. So I agreed with your sentiment about use it. That's its entire purpose. And I think that if he would have come in here and said, okay, I will put it through insurance, but I have a $5,000 deductible, I felt like you might have been more inclined to give him a portion of that, since neither of them were really at fault. They were both victims of a hit and run. But I would have respected that more if he had chosen to use his own homeowner's insurance as opposed to going after another victim. She wasn't at fault, and he knew that.
She really wasn't at fault. Yeah. She really wasn't at fault. And as we discussed a moment ago, the suggestion that she should have gone into to the left where there was an oncoming traffic rather than veering to the right and hit something that was a stationary object.
It was definitely the safer option. And in that
Logan Moore is suing his family friend, Brandon Farman, for the cost of 4 pigs, a hog waterer, and lost wages.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2181, Moore versus Foreman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Moore, you're suing the defendant because it is your claim that you sold him, I believe, 4 piglets, and he never paid you for them.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's what the case is about. Now, tell me where you live.
I live
in Pinehurst, but outside of Pinehurst, south in a valley.
Pinehurst is where?
In Idaho.
So you live in Idaho. Is
Yes.
that a farming community?
Yes, small.
Who do you live there with?
Me, my mom, and my sister.
You have a farm?
Yes.
How many acres?
Right now, 5. Yes, we're working on buying land next to us.
But right now you have 5 acres. Tell me
Yes.
what you raise.
Right now, we raise cows, pigs, and goats.
You own that property?
Yes, Your Honor.
How long have you owned that property and raised those farm animals?
Lived on the property my whole life, raised farm animals since I was about 16.
And you sell them for what?
I mainly do meat animals, so when it comes to beef, cattle, pigs, meat, goats.
But you sell them on their own hoofs?
Yes, yep, on the hoof, not by meat.
And what do you do, Mr. Foreman?
An underground shift supervisor,
What is that?
underground miner.
Do you live close by to Mr. Moore?
Live a couple miles above him,
How long have you lived there?
going on 5 years.
Tell me what interest you have in pigs.
Me and my buddy, we have a hobby, so to speak. He has cattle at his place, and I have raised pigs at mine.
How many acres is your house?
Just over 5.
All you raise are pigs.
Correct.
And I assume you sell the pigs for meat.
Correct.
When was the first time, Mr. Foreman, you purchased pigs from Mr. Moore?
Probably 2 years ago now.
Okay. How many did you purchase?
The first time,
First time.
I think there's 3.
How much did you pay for them?
I don't recall.
Well, how much would 3 piglets be?
I want to say it was 400 and some change.
For 3?
Correct.
Okay. That was a couple of years ago.
Correct.
Did you sell those pigs?
Correct.
They're not part of your current lifestyle?
No.
And you keep them for how long before you sell them?
Until they make a certain weight, about 250, 280 pounds.
Now, when you buy them from the plaintiff or from anybody, how big are they?
The ones that I purchased from Logan were small, probably 30, 40 pounds maybe.
So they must eat a lot for them to get to 250.
A lot.
And give me some idea, because I really don't know the answer to this question. How much would you sell a 250-pound pig for?
If they're totally butchered, cut, and wrapped, it's about $800 to $900. If I'm doing the cutting and wrapping,
And if you're not?
then I sell it for hanging weight. So whatever the animal weighs after it's butchered out, then we set a price for that. Usually $3.50 to $4 a pound.
You pay about $125 for them. You feed them for a year.
Not quite a year, but close.
Okay, well, not quite a year. And then you sell them for 6 or 7 times what you paid for them, minus the feed, whatever that is, minus what it is to feed.
Except for there's more than just the feed. There's all the time and labor it goes into cutting
Oh,
and wrapping.
absolutely.
And
But you make a profit.
make a profit, yes.
And you don't go that route. You sell them when they're young?
Correct.
That's your business, to
That
sell
is.
them when they're young?
Yes.
Okay. So the first time Mr. Foreman bought from you, evidently things went well. Tell me about this most recent sale where there is an issue.
Yes, so Brandon contacted me that I had 4 pigs available.
Did you advertise that you had them available?
I did not. I have a family member that works at a gas station that he goes to. She mentioned to him that I have pigs for sale.
Is that how you found out?
That is correct.
Okay, go.
That I had pigs for sale. And then he got my number from her. He contacted me, said that he is interested in my pigs. We set up a time for him to come meet and look at the pigs.
What date?
It was July 28th, 2022.
Okay.
And then he came and looked at the pigs then, and he liked them.
How old were they?
They were 2.5 months, which would be right around 40 to 45 pounds.
And you had 4 of them?
4, correct.
Is that how many there were in the litter or however?
No, those were just the ones I had left. There were 9 in that litter.
So you had already sold 5?
Yes.
And 4 left?
Yes.
Is that the time you usually buy them, Mr. Foreman, when they're 2.5 months old?
No.
How old are they when you usually buy them?
It depends.
Depends on what?
Price, money,
Okay.
where they're at.
Well, so give me a range. What?
So these ones are relatively close. I didn't have to travel far. At the time, they seemed like a pretty decent price deal.
And what did he sell them to you for? He wants to take the pigs. You didn't have any money at the moment. And what was the deal?
Logan Moore claims his family friend, Brandon Foreman, owes for the cost of 4 pigs. Brandon says Logan sold him pigs that were sick.
Okay. What did he sell them to you for?
I believe for the 4 pigs in the water, it was $7.20.
25, 4 pigs, and there was a water little machine that you also...
No, it was just a plastic tote with nipples on it for the pigs to drink water out of.
Okay.
There was no machine, no nothing to it.
So for $725, you got the 4 pigs and this machine.
It's
whatever.
not a barrel.
Whatever, a waterer, a hog waterer.
Correct.
Right. Anybody have a picture of that to show me?
I do not know.
I'll have to use my imagination based upon Mr. Foreman's... Oh, you have a picture of it, sir?
Your Honor.
What?
It was $740, $160 each for the pigs, and then $100 for the water.
Judge, I do not. I do not have a picture of the water.
Okay.
The water was like a 275-gallon tank with 4 nipples on the outside of it at the bottom that you can fill with water. Pigs drink out of the nipples easier than they do like a dish.
Whatever. I get the picture. Okay. Now, let's say I take your number, Mr. Foreman, $725. You purchased the pigs on July 28th, 2022. Is that right?
Correct.
Did you pay him for them?
At the time that I went and looked at the pigs, I told him up front, and plain as day, I do not have the money to pay you right now, right off the bat. I don't have the money. But I was under the understanding from his relative that works at the gas station that he doesn't have the time.
No. You can't tell me what the relative at the gas station told you. You went to see the pigs.
I went to see the pigs.
You went to see the pigs, Mr. Foreman, and you told me a moment ago, I said, how much were the pigs? And she's going to read back exactly what you said.
You asked him, did you pay for them? And he said, at the time I went and looked at the pigs, I told him up front, plain as day, I do not have the money to pay you right now.
Before that, there was something about $725.
Okay.
How much were they? And he said the whole thing, the 4 pigs and a watering was $725.
$720 for the pigs and the water machine.
$720.
$720.
Oh, that's what you said. You said they were $720. That was the discussion when you went and looked at the pigs. Okay, and you said, I don't have money right now.
Correct.
And?
So then we came up with a deal that...
Look at me, don't look down. So you came up with a deal. You wanted to take the pigs and the watering thing. You wanted to take the pigs. You didn't have any money at the moment. And what was the deal that you came up with?
That I would pay him for him when I was able to.
Nah. That I don't believe.
That
I don't believe.
That is the truth.
Then he's foolish because when are you able to?
When I was able to.
What does that mean? That means you determine whether or not when and if you're going to pay for these things that you took?
It depended on when I was able to have the money available.
That was in July.
Correct.
You work in a mine.
Correct.
You work for a company?
Correct.
How long have you worked for them?
3 years.
Mm-hmm. You get paid annually or by the hour?
Annually.
And what's your pay annually?
$90,000, give or take.
Give or take a what?
I get bonuses.
Okay. You're going to get the month of January at $10.99. How much did you earn last year with bonuses?
I don't know. I haven't received my bonus yet.
Oh, you haven't received it yet? Okay, so it's $90,000 base pay. Who else do you support?
My wife and 5 children.
What does your wife do?
Stay-at-home mom.
When was the last time you sold any pigs?
It's been a while.
How long? Month and year?
It's been probably 6 months, 6, 7 months.
Okay. How many did you sell?
At the time, the last...
6 or 7 in the last 6 months. How many did you sell?
1 or 2.
Well, I want you to think carefully. If you're on a salary and you have a wife and 5 children, that it's important if you make between $800 and $900 for each pig that you have. I want to know if it's 1 or 2.
It was 2.
And let's say I'm not going to take the higher figure, I'll take the lower figure. That's $1,600. You said between $800 and $900 each. That's $1,600 plus your income from your job.
Unfortunately, that $800 to $900 that I get for a pig, that doesn't all go to me. I split that equally with the person that I cut with, the one that raises the cattle that I spoke about.
I don't understand, sir.
I have the shop. I have the space, the shop, the meat cooler, the room at my house to hang and cut animals. He comes up and he helps. We split it equally, right down the middle. So that $800 or $900, I don't get that.
Just a second. He raises cattle.
Correct.
And you split his cattle with him, and you have pigs, and he splits the pigs with you.
No. I let him use the shop and my meat cooler. The cattle's his deal. But he comes up and helps me cut and wrap the pigs.
Oh, then he doesn't get half. That's baloney. That's baloney. If you raise them, you feed them, you pay for them. If he wraps them, you're not giving him half. In any event,
it's not.
In any event, you have a job. You have a $90,000 plus job. You made a commitment of $720 to the plaintiff to pay for his pigs, and you paid nothing.
The pigs died.
Just a second. I read that here. Tell me when the pigs died. Tell me the month and day the pigs died, that you communicated with him. This pig died, that pig died, this pig died.
I didn't communicate with him about when the pig died or when
Did you communicate with him at all? I'm sorry, when he asked you for the money.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
I was.
Okay, when he said, where's my money? That was in what month? I know when, July 28th is when you picked them up. In what month did he communicate and say to you, I want my pigs, or I want the money? Tell me.
August.
August what?
One was August 16th, one was August 17th.
Okay, so he communicated with you the 16th and the 17th of August. So by this time, you've had the pigs at your place for about 2.5 weeks, from the 28th to the 16th or the 17th of July.
And the first one had already died in that.
Just a second. During that time, now, when did the first pig die?
A week and 3 days after I got it home.
Did you tell him?
No.
Oh, then you're going to pay for all of them, sir.
What?
You're going to pay for all of them.
No.
Oh, yes. Just show me that you said to him, one got sick, it died. I'm afraid for the others, so I just as soon give them back to you and cancel this whole deal. Show me!
I offered multiple times to take the pig.
Logan Moore has accused his family friend, Brandon Foreman, of refusing to pay for the pigs he purchased. Brandon claims Logan sold him sick pigs and only one survived.
Go ahead.
So if you went to the grocery store and you bought a bag of apples and the apples are rotten in the middle, but the outside looked fine, you would still pay for those and just be content with them?
I'm going to give you the different example, sir, not apples. I'm going to give you an example with puppies, which I have here all the time. Your pigs were not sold to you with any health guarantee. Let's start there. Dogs, cats, animals, pet animals are usually sold through a breeder or somebody that you buy from. You have a contract that says, take the dog or the cat to the vet within the next 3 days or the next 24 hours or 48 hours. Any health deficiency in the cat or dog, we will either refund your money or give you a new cat or a new dog at the discretion of either the buyer or the seller. That's what happens. Now, you had the animals at your place for 2 weeks, and I assume you have other animals. Just assume you have other animals.
I had other pigs at the time.
Just assume you have other animals, and I also assume that you have no vet report.
I do.
I'd like to see it. This isn't a vet report.
It's the bill.
I don't care about a bill. I want a report.
I don't have a report. I have a bill.
Then, sir, you're going to pay him his $720. You're going to pay him his $720. I don't care what the bill was. How does he know? How do I know what the pig picked up, the one that died, at your place over the course of a week and a half? What you said to me was you took the pigs and said, I'll pay him when I can. Now they're yours.
So I had other pigs at the time, full-grown pigs, that were ready to go. So then I brought these other piglets home. And then the one started getting sick, so then I had to separate the pigs. So then I had to spend all this time and money giving them shots, trying to keep them healthy. And then I had to build a whole separate pen to contain them because I don't want to get the full-grown pigs getting whatever disease or whatever they had.
Did you ever call the plaintiff when the first pig got sick and said, listen, this pig is sick, and I'm not sure about the other piglets that are here, and that's in the first 2 weeks. I'd like to return them to you. He didn't have any babies at the time because he had sold 5. He had 9 in the whole litter or whatever they call it. Just show me that you said to him, one got sick, it died. I'm afraid for the others, so I just as soon give them back to you and cancel this whole deal. Show me where you did that the first 2 weeks in August.
When I first picked up those pigs,
just show me.
I don't have that.
Sir,
Because
then what
I
you're
didn't.
saying is unreasonable.
It's not unreasonable. Why do I need to burden him with these sick pigs? But I'm not going to pay for a product that I can't get anything out of.
Then you've become the lawyer for the plaintiff, the lawyer for the defendant, and the judge. You said I bought them. I didn't pay for them, but I shouldn't have to pay for them because now I had to build a whole separate pen. I had to separate them, and this is all without advising him. All without advising him and saying to him, listen, I didn't want to buy sick pigs. It looks as if these are sick pigs. I don't want the extra responsibility. I don't have the money right now. Take them back. Show me. Show me.
I offered multiple times to take the pigs back to him and the water.
Show me. Show me within the first couple of weeks when one died, so you had to separate all of them. That's the first 2 weeks in August. That's all I want to see.
Right here.
I'd like to see
August
it, please.
17th.
Okay, great.
The one in blue.
Shh. I'm reading. This doesn't say anything about sick pigs, sir. August 16th, 17th were the 2 dates you gave me. This was on August 17th. He says, do you have the money to me tomorrow or I'm getting law enforcement involved? You don't say one of the pigs is sick. One of the pigs died. I'll bring them all back. You say, I'm working on getting you the money. But if this is how it is, then I will bring you back the pigs and all tonight. I have some blank coming up that has taken precedence in my finances. I'm sorry that this has been less than ideal, but this is where I am now. That doesn't say anything about pigs being sick, dying. It says, I have other things to do with my money now. That's what it says, right?
But I clearly
That's what
offered
it
to
says.
bring
Well,
the pigs back.
just a second. That's what it says. He didn't have a buyback agreement from you. Now you have the pigs. Whether they died or whether they didn't die or whether they got sick, you've had them. Now we're in January, August, September, October, November, December. We're in January. We're 6 months later. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $720. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Did not expect Brandon to mention sick pigs.
They just wouldn't put on weight. They started not wanting to eat or drink anymore. Then they just got real skinny, no matter what I did or the vets did.
He never told me.
They just ended up passing away.
If it was sick, I would put them in a treated pen that I have that's actually on concrete where they cannot pick up any other diseases from the ground.
Some kind of infection.
And I make sure the animal is even safe for transport.
I wasn't going to do the blood test on him to try to figure out.
I honestly have done multiple payment plans with multiple farmers.
I shouldn't have to pay.
And I will do it in the future too.
Got frustrated.
I'm glad it's over. I don't have to chase my money anymore.
So I don't know a lot about pigs or farming or,
no.
or housing pigs, but I was really surprised at the profit margin that the defendant was explaining. If you buy the pigs at 40 pounds, not also great at math or word problem math questions, but if you buy a pig at 40 pounds for $160, you have to feed it all the way up to 280 pounds in order to sell it to anyone. You have to, I don't even want to think about how much food that requires to feed the pigs. But then your profit, even if he wasn't splitting it with whoever helps him cut and butcher the meat, is only $800 as a high figure. That seems like a very low profit margin to have pigs in your house and to have them in your backyard and build a pen with 5 kids. That just seems like a lot for a profit margin that I expected to be much higher. That's really labor-intensive work. It just blew my mind.
Yeah, different part of the world.
Different part of the world.
So if you don't like that part of the world, then you go to law school.
I guess.
Or you become...
Các bạn ơi, hôm nay thì cùng mình tô màu cho bức tranh với cô gái đang đi thả đèn nha. Các bạn hãy cùng mình hoàn thiện cho bức tranh tô màu này nhé. Đầu tiên là mình sẽ tô màu cho cô gái trước nha. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô để phần bầu trời nha. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô đến chiếc đèn lồng nhé. Chiếc thuyền mình sẽ tô chiếc thuyền này. Hôm nay thì chúng ta đã cùng nhau tô màu xong cho bức tranh này. Và đây chỉ là thành quả của mình nhé. Cảm ơn mọi người đã cùng mình theo dõi. Video của mình đây là kết thúc rồi. Bye bye.